Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Electrode Volleyball World Tour. We're here with North America, and I'm glad to be here. I'm Wonder Chef, joining Danily. Danily, we haven't seen each other for quite a while, but what an awesome event we get to do together.
Hey, it's an awesome event. I've already had a chance to do it for APAC West, so it's good to be back to do this again, but this time with North America, because we had a blast in APAC West. So kind of keen to see how things kind of change up in North America. I don't know if the players have actually seen any of the other regions, you know, to see like what's kind of meta for the mode, because let's be realistic, okay? I don't think a lot of us expected a Electrode Volleyball tournament to begin with, so the fact that we had this, you know, this is already a bit of a special event in itself.
Right. Well, I'm a huge fan of this mode. Literally since it came out, I was like, oh my god, I love this so much. I was like, if there's ever a tournament, please invite me to cast it. So I'm happy to be here. But of course, we can go through some of the rules for today. It's going to be a relatively simple tournament. We've already made it down to our top 6 teams. And there are, of course, the different set of rules than our normal game mode, right? For anybody who, of course, is more familiar with normal Pokemon Unite, there is a 5v5 game mode. But this one, it's going to be 3v3, where each of these teams is going to use their abilities and their attacks to try and knock an Electrode over to the other side of the map. If it does land on the other side of the map uncontested, then you score a point for your side. Otherwise, it bounces back, slowly gaining speed until one of the teams scores 3 points or the time runs out. So a very, very fun game mode. I'm a huge fan of it. And honestly, I was surprised at how competitive it actually is. I know you've had a chance to do APAC West, and I was curious about their meta. I had a chance to watch all of Japan, where Shinohara and Refu were able to cast some of that action, and the meta was pretty fun, but they kind of had their Pokemon that they were starting to fall into.
Yeah, so I think mainstays, I'm not sure about your opinion on this, but the mainstays for APAC West ended up being the Buzzwole. We had a lot of Marchamp, especially because of Submission. Submission's such a good ability. Tyranitar made quite a few appearances for us as well because of the Ancient Power's Unstoppable. So it just seems like essentially any Pokemon that has Unstoppable seems to be something that is very popular. I have to say, I think one of the surprise mainstays for us was actually Cinderace.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Cinderace as well in Japan, but we get a chance here now. We can take a look at the rules for how today is going to work out, not necessarily just how the volleyball mode works out. Today's going to be a single elimination best of 3 bracket. Each match is going to last 5 minutes in the 3v3 mode that we were just talking about. Everything's unlocked, everything's maxed, so easy competition rules. And no restrictions as far as any Pokemon or items or anything like that. And if there is a draw, the game will basically decide it for us. Not a huge deal. The team with the highest KOs will win if the score is even, and if that's tied, the team with the highest total damage wins, and if it's still tied, it's down to a dice roll. But I haven't seen that happen quite yet. That would be pretty exciting if we saw some tiebreakers happen, but it seems like these teams have pretty much got their strategies locked in. And just like you were saying, Cinderace was very present, extremely present in the Japanese region. Machamp as well, Buzzwole as well, some Tyranitar.
Snorlax.
So it seems like a lot of I saw a lot less Snorlax for some reason in Japan than I thought we were going to. So I'm not sure what North America is going to do. But also, I mean, North America, they tend to have a pretty different meta than I think some of the Asian regions in the main game as well.
Yeah, no, I do think there is going to be a NA exclusive meta. I do feel like just region by region, you also have to consider like the players that are participating in the tournament too, right? Like what do they prefer to play? Because even though they might pick something meta within a different region, if they just don't know how to play that Pokemon efficiently, there's no point picking it, you know? So I do think there are going to be some Pokemon that should be pretty easy transitions for North America, but there are going to be others where I think there will be some specializations that kind of kick in and whatnot. So yeah, I think if there are some Pokemon that are probably going to be very easy transitions, it's probably going to be the Snorlax, the Buzzwole, the Marchamp, and then I think Cinderace and Tyranitar, I think those are going to be case-by-case Pokemon where it might appear because the team is comfortable playing it.
Yeah. We'll see if exactly what we're gonna pick, but teams that are gonna be picking those Pokemon are going to be right here. We're down to our top 6, down to our top 5 actually now. We've got Just Ballin, the Hindrance Resistance, which is a great name. Blastoise Pickers, What Time Is Noon? That was 30 minutes ago for me, and 17 Black. So I did get a chance to see who some of the players are on some of these teams, and it seems like there are some players that I'm familiar with. I know know in Japan, again, I'm going to keep referencing that because it's the one that I really watched, there were some great competitive players that ended up winning, a couple of the reject players, actually. But I see a few competitive players in North America as well.
Yeah, so I think for us at APAC West, it was Talon, essentially. Talon. It was, who was it? It was Sync 1, Lance, and, oh my gosh, it was someone else. I think it was their coach. So they definitely had some fun playing Electrode Volleyball together. But they were very, very interesting strategies, honestly. I want to keep throwing Pokemon at the wall here because I do feel like, especially going in towards the finals, I think we did start to see some very interesting choices. Garchomp was the winning Pokemon for APAC West. Dragon Rush really kicking in, and the Unite move as well. Livid Outrage is such a good zoning Unite because you kind of don't want to be within range of the Unite, but if you're a Garchomp, wouldn't the goal be to just basically sit where the Electrode is going to land? You know, so it's like a lose-lose situation for the opponent. Like, do I stand there and take a Livid Outrage? Or do I kind of take one for the team, bop the Electrode, but get sent back to the Pokemon Center? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, we saw some pretty interesting strats. I guess the last one I want to mention, Lance, we did have an interview with him before the tournament start of APAC West, and he actually said Tinkaton is a pretty good Pokemon for the mode. We didn't see it, unfortunately, but maybe this is a Pokemon that's going to appear in North America today. So Garchomp was pretty interesting. I'd love to see Tinkaton. I know you're a big fan of Tinkaton as well. So, you know, I think we're just going to have to leave it up to the teams in North America. Are they going to surprise us with something new? Are we going to be seeing some stock standard picks from the Asia teams? You don't know. I mean, North America does have that slight advantage, you know, being able to watch the Asia games to kind of see like, oh, okay, these are the Pokemon to kind of go for our first couple rounds. But we are going to be starting off with our first match of the day, folks. It is going to be our round 1 match between Blastoise pickers, and what time is noon. And I do believe this is going to be our only round 1 match for today. After this, we're going to be jumping right into our semi-final matches to see who's going to be heading into our grand finals and what teams are going to be playing our 3rd place matchup for the day. So really exciting stuff here, Chef. And apparently, we're ready to jump into our match, folks, so let's hop right to it. All right, Chef, do we have you back? All right, we don't quite have Chef back, so it's going to be me for the moment, folks. But very interesting choices for Blastoise pickers. So we do have a couple of stock standards, or actually 3 stock standards here with the Marchamp, the Buzzwole, and the Cinderace. And for what time is noon? Okay, considerations here. Interesting choice here for the Dragapult to be hovered by Raph. Lucario is not too bad of a pick here, but the Buzzwole is a very stock standard pick, very great pick as well, just because you're able to throw Pokemon around. And Buzzwole, because all of our Pokemon are going to be at max level throughout the game mode, Buzzwole does hit pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Production will let me know.
Welcome back, Chef. I hope they can hear you.
I know. Hopefully. You can hear me the entire time, so you're cheating.
Yeah,
but,
I can hear you.
All right, so some of these picks are very, very common in the other regions. Lucario actually won in Japan. Lucario, I think it was Yuminyan on Lucario. Having Power-Up Punch is a huge, huge tool to be able to get to exactly where you need to go, even if people don't think you're going to be there quite at the right moment. So we're going to start it off, and we do see Blastoise pickers on the left. What time is noon on the right? And oh my gosh, so much damage.
Wow, they got rid of the Buzzwole right off the bat. Okay, so already a 2 versus 1. And I mean, if Blastoise pickers wanted to, they could maybe just try and go all in with this, but no, they're just going to keep it safe. Okay. I mean, I love the aggression, but I have to say the follow-up was a little slow. But I mean, I guess it's Marchamp's job to kind of hold the fort here, because this poor Dragapult is just taking so much damage from this Cinderace duo. And Lucario goes down as well. So what time is noon? They're struggling. And right off the bat, just because of that, they had 2 aggressive Pokemon keeping the fort down. And with a constant 2 Pokemon and 1 Pokemon down matchup, what time is noon? They just struggle to stay on top of this Electrode.
I really like this strategy, and this is something that I've seen from the other regions, is Machamp being kind of your goalie in a way is really common, because submission is such a good tool for stopping them. Oh my goodness, the dunk out!
See, that's the play. That's why Buzzwole and also Machamp, they are key picks in this game mode. Just being able to displace Pokemon is so key. But for what time is noon, it looks like for them, unfortunately, they have Oh, okay, hang on. We are getting a bit of an update here, ladies and gentlemen. So we could be looking at a potential rematch here. So we will wait for confirmation. But yes, we may be looking at a possible rematch for this first game. So we're going to come back to us for now as our referees kind of go over this. We may have a bit of a technical issue, which is the cause of this rematch. But I guess we all did get a bit of a taste of Electrode Volleyball, you know, those first 2 rounds right off the bats. But Blastoise Pickers, you know, that first play, super strong. And I think that's just a taste of what they're going to be able to do for the first matchup of this set.
Yeah, I think clearly there's been some research done into what a lot of the other regions have done, and obviously they've been practicing it quite a bit themselves, but I do like the fact that a lot of the regions are starting to fall on some similar Pokemon. Cinderace, of course, you know, we were talking about that. I think Cinderace may have been the one that I've seen the most, which would be a little bit surprising to people. And really, when I was trying to break it down for myself, it's like, what is really good in this mode, right? Because it's got a very different set of tools that you need than the main mode. But I think there's 3 things. There's mobility, there's the ability to become unstoppable, and then there's damage, right?
Yes.
So usually you have one Pokemon that is really just like focuses on being unstoppable, and that is the Machamp, right? Yeah, so like the Machamp, or there was another one that I was thinking. Snorlax is a great one, yeah. Anybody who can like kind of get there and stop themselves from being crowd controlled. But then there's the damage dealer as well, which you wouldn't think would be that important, but the way that we saw that first round go, where they just melted the other team, the damage from Cinderace is so good.
Yeah, so I think just to kind of add on to the discussion for Cinderace, because I do think a lot of people are thinking like, why is Cinderace so good here? Its ability to not only, as you said, be very agile. It's very, very tough to catch Cinderaces, because we're seeing the build being built by the Cinderace, right? Feint. So good for this game mode because it makes this Pokemon so elusive. I think another thing to kind of add to this discussion is its ability to zone the opponents, because I think like at the very beginning of Electrode Volleyball, especially during the World Tour circuit, a lot of teams were picking mostly defenders, you know, defenders, all-rounders that focused more on displacing and stuns rather than damage. And I think now teams and players are starting to recognize that you do need that damage dealer to chip Pokemon down, because a numbers advantage, especially in a 3 versus 3, is very significant, because that's one less body to be able to catch the Electrode and one less body to fight for the team. And in most cases, we see teams just get overwhelmed as soon as they lose that single player. So yeah, I think the Cinderace, it just brings so much value to the team, because not only can it also act as a backup goalie, you know, it's very agile, very quick, but it's really there to eventually chip down a knockout Pokemon and really open the door for your team to really amp up the aggression. The Dragapult pick, I kind of wonder, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Chef. Do you feel like this is supposed to be What Time Is Noon's pick for DPS? Like, this is supposed to be their equivalent to Cinderace?
I do think so. It also has really high mobility, right? If you do choose to go that, which that is what I've been seeing from the Dragapults that I've been seeing in this mode, which has not been super uncommon. That's a bit of a surprising pick for me. I love the Cinderace pick. Also, Blaze Kick, we didn't get a chance to talk about, can displace other opponents and knock them out of their defense, which is really funny. But we haven't seen the Dragapult work quite as well yet. We'll see if there's a big change here, and a big focus on dealing damage this time to the Cinderace. Now it's the one that gets melted down.
Yeah, so this time we do see What Time Is Noon be the ones to actually fight into Blastoise Pickers, and they're going to be the first team to take that first point. And it all kicked off because they were able to get rid of the Buzzball, they isolated the Cinderace, Marchant was stuck defending the Electrode, and as I said before, that numbers disadvantage is crucial in this game mode, because you need to have a goalie, but you also need someone to be there to fight for the team. So yeah, Blastoise Pickers, you know, that first match that unfortunately did not count, you know, that one, it was just a taste, you know, it wasn't really a showcase of what Time Is Noon is capable of. But this time we do see a counter score. So we are sitting at a score of 1-1. Both teams are tied. We still need 2 more points to get a solidified victor here.
I like that. You can see they're charging up the power-up punch. That's going to be kind of their option instead of the Machamp. And the fact that you use the power punch for the Unstoppable and then the mobility is huge. And, oh my goodness, the damage. Dragapult's been going down so quickly. I love the feint and the Blaze Kick. Maybe going to be able to win that 1v1, but no, gets dunked. And they're so extremely low, leaving basically only the defenders left. Only the goalies is really what I'm going to start calling it. And I mean, they're doing a pretty good job. But the thing is, the ball speeds up as time goes on. So the pressure's really really gonna go.
Yeah, the pressure's going to go, and it's really going to make these teams decide, like, okay, when do we have to go for that 3-man push? Because eventually it just gets too quick. You know, you can't just sit there and wait for the Electrode. Now it looks like Buzzwell's going to go down on the side of what time is noon, though, so they have lost one of their main tanks, their main goalies. They have the Lucario there to sort of keep the fort, but that leaves that Dragapult fully exposed and just gets absolutely jumped on by Blastoise pickers.
Oh, and they're sending it back to the tall grass. This tall grass is scary because you can return from the tall grass without showing where it's going to go. They're doing the exact same thing. Big Unite coming out from Buzzwole, and the feint almost was enough to stop it, but not quite enough. And I love this displacement with the Unite from the Machamp as well. They're just sending it back and forth down here on the bottom, but soon they're going to run out of players to be able to defend. This Lucario has not even been a part of the fight. Great work from their defenders so far.
Oh, I think the Cinderace is about to go down. That has to force out the Unite there. What will just survive, but will finally get knocked out. We are down to a 2 versus 2. Now to 2 versus 1 with just the Lucario there. Oh man, these two teams, they are going all out here. We do have the numbers equalized though with a 2v2. Cinderace is back though, and that Dragapult. So we are back to a 3 versus 3. It's a battle of chip. It's a battle of pulls. Are we going to be seeing any surprise plays in a second? It looks like we're going to be seeing Blastoise pickers playing on what time is noon side of the map. So they're the ones trying to create that opening. And I see Buzzwole super low on the other side. We'll get knocked out. The whole team getting zoned out by that Buzzwole Cinderace duo.
The damage is so important, and Cinderace really is just the peak. I mean, you said it so perfectly. You're level 15 when this starts. They're going so aggressive, too. Oh, my goodness. They're just trying to pick out this Buzzwole, get it off the map, and it's already off the map. It's still going to be a pretty slow speed, and the walls are not up quite yet. So usually you're not going to see scores in the early game, especially if they do have something like Lucario there to just charge up power and punch and walk. But, I mean, getting these early KOs is big. You're just making them play under so much more pressure, and they've got to deal with the Cinderace. Otherwise, they're just going to keep getting KO'd. Yeah,
they really do need to get rid of the Cinderace, because without the Cinderace, Blastoise pickers aren't actually that threatening. It's really their attacker. But there goes the Buzzwole. Cinderace has finally been annihilated. It's 3 versus 1. It's just going to be Sushi there to hold things down for the team. Blastoise pickers, though, they're trying to do something. Oh, but the Buzzwole gets pulled out by the enemy team's Buzzwole. The healing, though, from the Electrode will keep him alive for a moment longer. But now it looks like they're trying to wrestle that control. What time is noon? They're losing control. They still have the Lucario there, so thankfully the Unstoppable still kicking in and allowing them to defend. Oh, but what time is noon? They need to stabilize somehow.
I know. Oh no, so much damage, and their Dragapult might be going down. The Dragapult does go down, so now the damage is going to be completely sided towards Blastoise pickers, and they are getting really low on the Buzzwole as well. We do see the respawn from the Dragapult, but their offense, they're just not finding a way on the side of what time is noon to kind of get rid of Get Yoshi on this Machamp and deal with their defense. That's why they've only scored that one singular point, and this one is going really the distance with only 3 seconds left. I mean, there's no chance for them to score one more time. That score lead gonna go to Blastoise pickers as they win game number 1. But I'm glad it was a lot closer than when we saw the rematch game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that both teams are able to sort of really put the full efforts in. But I think this game, it really showcases the power of Cinderace and why this Pokemon has just been so successful over in Asia. The mobility, the fact that Cinderace is able to, in essence, be self-sufficient because it doesn't always need to rely on its teammates to be able to bail it out from these fights. It does so much damage as well, 165k all on its own. And we saw time after time again, you know, poor Kyo and Raph, if either of these Pokemon go down, a lot of the firepower from the other side just wasn't there, and they weren't really able to put a dent into Blastoise pickers. So I think going into game number 2, okay, I don't know about you, I think we're going to have to see the Dragapult go. I don't think Dragapult is really thriving in this environment. I'm not sure if it's because maybe Buzzwole's just an incompatible partner. You know, maybe they actually need a defender to sit there with the Dragapult. But yeah, just the Dragapult Buzzwole together, I just don't feel like it's as effective as Buzzwole Cinderace.
Right. Well, you perfectly mentioned it. Feint is such an important tool. Feint gets Cinderace out of so many sticky situations, and Dragapult's damage can be ridiculously high too, right? I mean, it can have so much damage, and its mobility is really good, but it just seems like it doesn't quite have the lasting power when it's getting focused down by a coordinated team that Cinderace seems to have. So it can be a little bit of a tough situation. I do agree. I would like to see a change there, maybe to one of the other like big melee options. You were mentioning Garchomp earlier. I think Garchomp would be quite good into this comp maybe, or maybe somebody who can dive a little bit better up against that Cinderace, just because the Cinderace, I mean, everybody was doing their job, right, for the Blastoise pickers, but the Cinderace, if you can shut it down, they lose all of that offense, right? They lose all of the chance to kind of win off of scoring a bunch of KOs, and then there just not being enough people to actually defend, which is how a few of those points were scored. So they got to find a way to be aggressive.
Yeah, so I would not be surprised if we maybe get a Cinderace versus Cinderace matchup here.
Yep.
You know, I think maybe what time is Noon's going to think like, okay, we need a little bit of firepower. Yeah, but the Cinderace just gets insta-locked in. Raph's like, nah, guys, we need to go back to the Cinderace. But you can't blame him either. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a bit of a mirror matchup here. So again, I don't blame What Time Is Noon for picking the Cinderace. This Pokemon is so good. And because they're also one game down, they're not really in a position to be able to risk this second game. You know, they could go for the Garchomp, but I do also think Garchomp is itself also a very risky pick too, because as great as Garchomp is, this Pokemon can also be quite vulnerable to Cinderace, right? Because it just gets kited. Cinderace just has the ranged attacks. It's able to feint away from the Garchomp. It's very difficult to catch this Pokemon. You're kind of expecting your Buzzwole to set up for the Garchomp every single time. So yeah, I think Cinderace is just a safer pick. Let's just try and get a game 3. I think that's the goal here for What Time Is Noon. Let's try and get to a game 3.
I do love the fact that we are seeing like a pure mirror match right now. It's been a long time since I've seen that in Pokemon Unite, but obviously for this mode, it works quite well. One thing I will say though is there is some flexibility different with the Buzzwole. I do like this comp quite a bit, but that's just one place that I think they maybe could have switched off. And also I thought the Lucario did quite well, but right now the Buzzwole for the side of What Time Is Noon getting bullied over in their home goal zone, and just a lot of fighting, and that's really where it's been, right? It seems like the left side of this map has been Get Yoshi just kind of walking around, taking a leisurely stroll through this arena, just, you know, hitting a ball every once in a while. The right side has just been pure chaos, as it continues to be.
No, it has been pure chaos, and it's been a really tough game as well for Raph on the Cinderace, because yeah, he's on the Cinderace this time, but we're still seeing him struggle. I think he's been knocked out twice so far, and it's mainly because the Buzzwole and the Cinderace just focus Raph down. And unfortunately, if you've got two Pokemon, you know, wailing on that Cinderace, there's not really much you're going to be able to do unless your entire team focuses down the threat. They're going to try and get rid of the Cinderace. They will finally do it with the help of the Unite move, and maybe this is time for Noon to push on into the enemy side of the map. Cinderace is gone, Buzzwole is low, and that's what they needed. They just needed to find that opening, and Blastoise Pick is getting a little bit too excited there, going to drop that first point.
Ooh, okay. So a strong start. The flex over to the mirror match does seem quite good. I like the fact too that they tends to, for Blastoise pickers, they always go very aggressive at the start. Ooh, they almost paid for it. Honestly, there's a chance they could.
They're gonna pay for it.
That was very, very close. I mean, they almost got scored on, but still so much fighting happening on that right side, and they're gonna get a triple KO. Nobody left on the other side. Oh my goodness, the KOs happen all over the place. I didn't realize it was all a bunch of like 1v1s basically. Wow, full team wipe. An ace in this mode?
An ace. Blastoise Pickers, I think they maybe got a little bit desperate, you know, after losing that first point, thinking if we go all in, then we're going to be able to knock them all out. End up being the other way around. They lose all of their Pokemon, and you need somebody there to catch the Electrode. So this is a tough spot for Blastoise Pickers to be in, because they now have 2.5 minutes to score 2 points. That itself is already a very big ask in this game mode. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. But right now, looks like What Time Is Noon, they have finally stabilized. They have their Pokemon here. They're not being bullied anymore. And now it's Blastoise Pickers losing Pokemon one by one.
This coordination in their fights is really strong from What Time Is Noon, and I mean, at this point, Blastoise Pickers, they need to find some way to be super aggressive, because they're going to run out of time as if this just keeps going on and on. Like a points advantage, just like in the main game, is huge in Electrode Volleyball. It means that you can just play defensively. Tries to punch him all the way over. Nice!
Whoa! The team coordination from What Time Is Noon. That's what we were asking for. We got a game 3, folks. We have a game 3, and man, What Time Is Noon, they crushed Blastoise pickers in game number 2. I don't know what happened to Blastoise. You know, they looked great in game number 1. Pretty stable, a little aggressive here and there. And it looked like What Time Is Noon was the team to struggle. But now that they forced that mirror matchup, and I think they're realizing the power of this trio, all of a sudden Blastoise pickers, they can't really think that they're going to be able to win simply by bullying their opponent anymore.
Yeah, there's going to have to be some sort of big change of strategy or change of comp, because when you play like that and it's up against a mirror and it just goes pretty one-sided, admittedly, you got to think like, okay, something here is maybe not working out. Like, I don't know if we can just run it back and just play slightly better and turn things around, because it seemed like the team fight coordination from What Time Is Noon is just, it's on point. They're the way that they ended that last game too, I mean, using the coordination of some of the Unites and that Machamp Unite being so incredibly good at both dealing damage and being able to displace people, it's just such a scary comp. And that team seems, honestly, I'm pretty surprised that they were playing their first comp to begin with. I mean, I like the Dragapult. I do still like the Lucario a lot. I think Lucario is really, really good in this, but if they know how to play this comp, I'm surprised they didn't just start with it.
I'm of the opinion maybe they wanted to try something different for game number 1. I mean, they could have mirror matchupped everything from the start, but maybe they thought like, okay, maybe this lineup is the way to go. Kind of realized mid-game, okay, guys, maybe this is a little bit too hard to execute. We got to go back to square one, you know? We got to go back to Baby's first strat. So, I mean, if this works out for them, if you're What Time Is Noon, do you just mirror matchup this again? I kind of feel like we're going to be seeing another mirror matchup, but at the same time, I think like you're in a bit of a tight spot now. You're kind of forced to maybe do something different to try and play against the grain, because we could mirror matchup this, or you bring out the ace, the Garchomp, wink wink, nudge nudge. I do think Garchomp could be a really great X factor here for either of these teams.
There are a few other picks that were doing really well in Japan that I don't know if any of these teams are comfortable playing them, but I would love to see. One of the picks that the winning team, which was basically Reject, used was Serena at one point, actually.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of like solo out one of their either damage dealers or the defender when they're in a situation where it seems like they really need to get to the ball. That worked really well. They did manage to win with that. And then they won grand finals using Inteleon a lot of the time. Cinderace and Inteleon, which is wild. I mean, there's just an unbelievable amount of damage to duo together. And I think maybe if you're going up against something like the Buzzwole, it could be an option. You just kite them the entire time and they can't even get close to you. And then you start running a 3v2. But I don't know. There's so much going on with this meta. I love to see what people are choosing. And it's basically, okay, yeah. So What Time Is Noon locking in probably pretty hard on the same thing. It looks like maybe both. I'm surprised. Blastoise pickers had an opportunity to change up the strategy somehow.
Look, I think at this point, this is their way of saying like, this is our strongest strat. You know, these are the strongest Pokemon in the mode. This is our strongest strat. But at the same time, they also need to be aware that, you know, it's a mirror matchup. So I'm expecting Blastoise pickers, yes, same Pokemon, but I think they're going to execute this differently. The past 2 games, it was really them being the ones playing on What Time Is Noon's court. I'm expecting changes. I'm expecting maybe them to play a little bit closer to home, playing a little bit slower. So I don't know if that's going to benefit Blastoise pickers, to be fair, because I think if What Time Is Noon realizes that, you know, Blastoise, they kind of slow things down, they just ramp it up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, like I said, is a down to points, so we'll see if anybody can get that lead and hold on to it more defensively. But game 3, final game here between Blastoise pickers and What Time Is Noon. And once again, we're starting with pretty much the same way that we've been starting. Some of these points, we've seen a little bit more aggression come out from the Machamps at the start, but it seems like these teams, they're trying to see what the other one is going to do. They're trying to play it a little bit more patiently. Nice, just
really
that was
nice
a weird trick. Yeah, they just kind of got away from each other.
Yeah, that was such a nice body block, but looks like they do look for the Cinderace yet again. They're going all in this time. What Time Is Noon and Blastoise pickers, but it looks like they're going to be able to just sort of escape. Kyo is super low on that Buzzwole though, so probably realizing, okay, either I'm going to get knocked out in the next couple of seconds, or I'm going to have to try and do something. We'll get knocked out, unfortunately, and now it looks like we are going to be seeing that aggression kick in yet again to try and wrestle that control away from What Time Is Noon. Blastoise pickers playing on Noon's side of the map again.
Yeah, look at this. They're already taking so much damage. I mean, Sushi's running back, already at half HP. The more that you take off the pressure, though, the more that they have a chance to just heal back through the Electrode only, right? Just that landing and does so much healing. So both teams, they basically stopped attacking. I mean, they are starting it now. Maybe they're just waiting for the speed to go up a little bit more, but a lot of damage coming in on the bottom. Oh, yeah, Cinderace is down. Both Cinderace down. And at that point, I do think it's probably just they're waiting for them to respawn again. I don't think there's a really good way to get everybody out of these defensive nodes. So just a little bit of a break in the action.
Yeah, too much health. I think, you know, if you don't have the Cinderace, both of these teams just have too much health on their backliners. But, oh, beautiful catch on the Cinderace from Noon. And they're going to be able to catch Kyo as well, leaving just the Marchap all on his own to defend this Electrode. And this is the go sign for that Cinderace and the Buzzwole. If they want to try and make a play happen, they will see Raph come back in, and the Buzzwole should be coming in any moment now. So now it's going to be a 3 versus 2. Buzzwole going in pretty deep, but I think they're going to lose their Buzzwole here. So Blastoise Pickers, it's just going to be the Cinderace and the Marchap to try and hold this fort down.
Oh, Blaze kicking behind, and then Unite coming out too. Woo! That's two. Going to be a big member down. Actually, one on each side. They did lose the Buzzwole in exchange, so they're not finding huge numbers advantages yet. It's been a trade back and forth. It does really seem like Blastoise Pickers has kind of got their acts together as far as these team fights. And I mean, we are pretty far into this game at a 0-0 score, which is a lot more solid than what we saw in the last 2 games.
Yeah, so we have to remember as well for the tiebreaker rules, folks, if we end the round with both teams tied on points, whether it be 0, 1, or 2, the next stipulation to determine the winner is going to be knockouts. And I think these teams are quite aware of this position. Like, okay, there's a good chance we're going to be tying here, so we need to try and find these knockouts so we win based off of the knockout stipulation. Now look, so what time is doing? They're going to try and go for that big push, forcing the Marchap to head on back, but they're too late! First point goes to Blastoise Pickers.
Wow, and I mean, we have to be so far into this match. At this point, I think What Time Is Noon has to start playing really aggressively because, well, I mean, I guess there's a little bit of time for the volleyball to speed up, but once that Electrode is up to speed, they have to find a point because we are certainly starting to get close to time with how well both these teams have been defending. You got to make something happen. They're just kind of fighting a little 1v1 in the center.
Raph is in trouble.
I like that. Yep, super low. On the other side of the map, too, I do wonder if they're going to end up going down. It does look like they're able to escape.
Yeah, it's, oh! Whoa, we tied!
Whoa!
We're up to a tie, Chef. Okay, we are no longer in a position where it's going to be a definite win. We've still got 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, so there is still time for another point to potentially be scored here, but I think now there is pressure for both teams to try and get their A game in, to try and get the knockouts, but just based off of the numerous times that we have seen Blastoise Pickers knock out Raph on the enemy side, I actually think Blastoise Pickers are currently leading in terms of knockouts as well.
I think so. I think so too. I think that was the big reason why they got that first big point in that super long round. I mean, the fact that they got the point on return from What Time Is Noon wasn't really like a big fight win. It was just that they managed to get kind of a weird situation where somebody's crowd controlled. So I still think What Time Is Noon probably behind, just like you said. They've got to find something. They've got to find like a bunch of KOs, which they're getting really close to. Blaze kick in. Yep, the Unite 2. That's a big one.
Oh, they might get one more.
This
will be huge. Cinderace is still down. Buzzwole's still down. They've got to get rid of him. They actually managed to get the point. What Time Is Noon? That double knockout. So important. And for 20 seconds to go, Chef, can Blastoise Pickers get another point in?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they have to be super aggressive.
Buzzwole's
20 seconds
down.
as well. Oh, no. Oh, 2 members down. I know, there's a chance. There's definitely a chance. You can tell they're going all out. They know they have to go all out, but that's a huge amount of healing. The bounce back. No, not gonna have enough time. What Time Is Noon is able to pull the set back after losing game 1 pretty significantly with a 2-0 comeback, and they will be advancing further in the bracket.
Congratulations to What Time Is Noon. This was just our first game of the day, Chef, and that was pretty insane. Although we did see a couple of mirror matchups, but again, you know, we have to really hammer this home. This is essentially the most stable and probably one of the most powerful trios that you can currently draft in this game mode. It's so balanced, right? You've got 2 Pokemon that can essentially be frontliners. You've got 2 Pokemon that can displace. You have a fantastic and agile independent damage dealer. And look at the damage numbers from Jackery. Jackery did so much for the team. Jeez.
That's like more than the entire other team combined, and unfortunately they didn't win. So I don't know. There's something that's got to be talked about there. But I mean, that is amazing. 160,000 damage. When the winning side, the Cinderace, had significantly less damage than that. I think it was only like 80,000, like about half, less than half. So really, it comes down to team coordination, right? I mean, you can do as much damage as you want, but if people aren't there to follow up on it, and you're not there to be able to score off of it, then it only means so much, because respawns are pretty quick, so you got to take advantage while you can. But honestly, that was a great set, I think, to be able to showcase kind of the sweatiness of this mode, because it's really competitive, and honestly, it's quite good. I do really like this mode.
Yes, I love how it's supposed to be this very casual, fun game mode, and all of a sudden it's just turning into essentially a competitive mode. But it's very fun to watch, right? It's very fun to watch, and it does have a lot of elements that does make it a fantastic competitive mode. So, I mean, this is just game number 1, folks. We've still got plenty more games to go. We are actually going straight into semifinals after this matchup, because we don't actually have any more round 1 matches left. So the game's just going to get more competitive from here on out. And maybe we're going to be seeing some more variety in the pool of Pokemon played, because, I mean, to be fair, it's just one best of 3, but the fact that everyone's already bringing out the big guns in game number 1, I think this is a sign, maybe just foreshadowing what we're going to be seeing for the rest of today.
Yeah. So really looking at that team, you can break it down into roles, right? There's the essentially the defender, the goalie, which is Machamp, but obviously Machamp can kind of flex outside of its role when you need to score. It can run forward, it can submission somebody, it can use its Unite. Then there's Cinderace, where it's going to be doing the damage, but it also can escape, and then it also can displace people with the Blaze Kick. So those 2 roles, I think, are pretty solid, but I do think the 3rd spot is a little bit more up in the air if one of the teams wanted to flex, right? Like if we get to see another team kind of play a similar core. The Buzzwole, obviously very good at displacing people, very good at just doing a lot of damage to a single Pokemon. It's very hard to take down because it's so tanky and it's so much self-sustain. So it really can be the one that just runs out on its own and fights out there. But if you really want that role, there are some other options. There's the Dragon combo, Garchomp, or you could go something like the Tyranitar. If you just kind of want to run out there and be a frontliner, you could go some other defender that has some displacement. Like you said, the Snorlax can also be a very aggressive Pokemon I've seen. So I do think that the Buzzwole is probably the one spot that I'd be a little bit more expecting to see something else from a different team. Not that any of the other spots are locked in. Like I said, Lucario instead of Machamp was part of the winning comp of Japan, so you can use that. It was looking really great even in that last set in game number 1. It's just they decided to completely change the comp. So I don't think we're going to see all mirrors, but hey, you never know. Maybe these NA players are talking to each other and they've decided on a meta.
Yeah, I'm going to throw some more Pokemon into the pool, because I think we just have to talk about other potential candidates that we've seen from other regions. I want to talk about a combo that was actually used by the team piloted by Onic Esport players. So essentially what they did for their combo, I believe it was a 2-1 split. They had, I believe it was Snorlax playing as their goalie, and their frontline duo was Buzzwole Dragonite, and this was Outrage Dragonite. And a lot of teams actually struggle to deal with Outrage Dragonite, because you have to remember, everyone's level 15. Everybody's level 15 in this mode. You're at max stats. Dragonite is a late game scaling Pokemon, and the fact that it's in Outrage mode, that thing hits hard. You need to really juggle that Pokemon, otherwise you're just going to get knocked out. So I would love for one of these teams to maybe explore with the Dragonite. If they're looking for an alternative partner instead of that Cinderace, you can go for Dragonite. What else was there used? I also saw, oh gosh, I had it in my mind and it has disappeared. It was, actually this was a different pairing for Cinderace. I saw one team running Helping Hand, it was Blissey Cinderace.
Blissey.
Helping Hand, Safeguard. And it was a very smart combo, because essentially the Blissey was their goalie, and it was very tough to actually control the Blissey because that's Safeguard. You think you'd stun the Blissey, and then it just pops the Safeguard on its partner or itself or whoever it wants to pop the Safeguard on. So it was a really cool combo, because not only was it a double whammy in being able to buff up the Cinderace, Helping Hand also improved its movement speed and its partner's movement speed, so everybody's moving pretty quick. You've got the Unite that also buffs up the Cinderace, and we know what buffed up Cinderace can do in that late game. So I would like to see a team maybe kind of explore that option too. If they don't decide to go for the Machamp, maybe consider going for the Blissey instead. Oh gosh, what else do we see? Goodra. Gudra actually made an appearance in APAC West as well. This one was a bit of a weird one because it was a very offhanded combo where Gudra was effectively the goalie, was kind of stuck in the goalie position, very immobile Pokemon unfortunately, but was so sustainable. It was practically impossible to just stick this Pokemon off the Electrode because it was so self-sustainable. And in most cases, like even if it's a 3 versus 1, normally it's able to out-survive the damage and its teammates will come back and they can turn those fights around. So Gudra also appeared for us. And then, let me think what else appeared. I feel like there's another Pokemon. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. If I do remember, I'll let you know. But I do think Dragonites could be a really cool X factor alongside the Garchomp if teams do want to maybe think about maybe surprising their opponents with something.
Yeah, there are. I mean, all those things that you said make sense. Just like looking back on some of them, the Gudra one is really cool because one really important thing about this map is that you obviously only have 3 directions that you can hit the Electrode back in, right? There's just the middle, the top, and the bottom. The top and bottom both are into tall grass. So unless you are just sending it to the center, making it easy to return every single time, if you try to get any sort of angle on it, then Gudra just is exactly where it wants to be in that tall grass.
Yeah, it doesn't have to move.
Matchup is getting right, exactly. It's exactly where it wants to be. Looks like Just Ballin' and the Hindrance Resistance are going to be our next matchup, so hopefully we'll get that one started soon. I love the Blissey one, and one thing that there were a few things that I kind of tested out when this match, when this mode first came out. One thing I would kind of like to see, I don't know, maybe some teams did try it, but Razor Leaf Decidueye plus Helping Hand Blissey, because if they have 2 people attacking you, it just melts them. It absolutely melts them. You also have the opportunity to get a little bit of displacement as well with I cannot now for the life of me remember what that move is.
Is it Leaf Storm? Is that what
it might be?
called?
Yeah, I think it is Leaf Storm. In competitive, we see Shadow Sneak 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And so it's I forget the name of that move.
It's kind of cool. This game mode forces some of the not so competitive moves out. You know, it's a very nice breath of fresh air being able to see some of these other moves. You know, not collecting dust. Draft is ready though, folks. So let's hop into it, Chef. This is a semi-final matchup as well, folks. So this is not our round 1s anymore. We're going straight into round 2s. And you were talking about Decidueye. We're going to be getting Desi in this matchup. It looks like it's going to be Razor Leaf because look at this. We've got the Scarf. We've got the Tyranitar. We did talk about this earlier in the day. This pick is a pretty cool one because it does act as like a pseudo Marchamp and being able to be a fantastic goalie because Ancient Power, you have the Unstoppable, great movement speed. The added bonus, actually they're shifting off. They're shifting off back to Buzzwole. Okay, fine. I'm not going to contest this.
Team? This is so tanky, right? Blastoise, double defender and Buzzwole, basically. That is ridiculous. That's going to be a lot of damage. I feel like the damage numbers for this Decidueye are going to be like 200,000 unless they basically get targeted down the entire time.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, here's the question I have now. Does Desi have enough damage in its heart and soul to actually knock out these Pokemon if they just literally run at him?
I have no idea. That's going to be the question. We're going to find out. Game number 1, Just Ballin' and the Hindrance Resistance. I'm very excited to see, though, if I'm being honest. They're not going to be able to really stop this Blastoise. It's going to be spin, it looks like, right off the bat. And we do get to see. Yeah, that was a ton of damage. The Buzzwole as well. Okay. Oh my God. Oh, this is really working. I look smart for the first time in my entire career just now talking about this Decidueye. Thank you, Just Ballin'.
He literally summoned it. But look, Razor Leaf Desi in this particular matchup is perfect because you have 3 Pokemon that essentially need to be within melee range to really do anything to the Desi, and that's so much time for the Decidueye to be able to just throw those basic attacks at you, and you also have a block Snorlax to be there to protect you as well. So this game, it's the setup to have a Razor Leaf Desi, and the problem I'm going to be seeing here is Hindrance Resistance, right? You draft the lineup like this, you want to be in your opponent's face. You're supposed to be so tanky that you can just sit on top of them, you can knock them out back to back to back. Not with the Desi. Not with the Desi.
This is like ASMR, just hearing the autos hit so quickly over. Now imagine this with the...
Look at the blocks they're pushing him through the
goodness.
Desi.
Yeah, really great coordination, may I say, as well, from the Snorlax, who's been really just trapping a lot of these other defenders in positions that they don't want to be in. Oh my goodness, trying to get anything. I mean, just getting in the way, trying not to take so much damage. But this Razor Leaf is, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, imagine with Helping Hand, that would be like 3 seconds, the entire team would be gone. Use the eject button, by the way, in the spin to just try and get out of there. So many Hydro Typhoons, too.
Yeah, so many Hydro Typhoons, but even though you have all the Typhoons, we're just not seeing any follow-up, right? There's no solution for this Decidueye at this point of time. Like, Buzzwall's trying to get on top of him, they can't get on top of him. Blastoise trying to get on top of him, which Rapid Spin, I think, in this particular game is just not helping. Blastoise, even in the bush, is being hit by the Razor Leaf. He just can't get a break. Oh my gosh, and this Snorlax is just thinking, guys, what am I doing? I am all alone.
Yeah, at this point, too, Just Ballin', they have so many KOs, they could easily play just a defensive game. If these defenders have to run up to this Decidueye, they are almost never going to be able to get any mileage, which is exactly what we're seeing here. Well, I shouldn't say just defenders, but defenders and defender and a half all-rounder over here, Buzzwole. And, I mean, I don't even know how you try to push through this. You'd imagine the wall would be from the Snorlax. The wall is a wall of leaves from this Decidueye.
I almost want to say, I wonder if the team maybe regrets switching off the Tyranitar now, because I actually think this probably is the game to run T-Tar if you're going up against Razor Leaf Desi. Like, at least you would have had access to the Ancient Power, you'd be able to get on top of the Desi, and I mean, I'm assuming the second move would have been Dark Pulse, so that does a significant amount of damage on Desi as well, and you would threaten the stun if Desi is at low health, right? So yeah, Tyranitar probably would have been a really great solution, but they swapped off to the Buzzwole, but Buzzwole is just struggling to get anything done for the team. And the Desi's just sitting on the other side there with his Razor Leaf. It's just bouncing off of everybody.
Wow, they actually picked up that score purely with a 3-person wall coming out from, I don't actually know how to pronounce the name, Laticals? I don't know. I'm going to apologize in advance because I am terrible at pronouncing any names. Oh, that was actually a little bit scary. But yeah, great walls so far. That Snorlax play from Just Ballin' has been really, there it is again. Look, that was not damage. That was just purely Snorlax walling away their entire team. Great stuff.
Yeah, really great coordination from Just Ballin'. I do think maybe the hindrance resistance, I don't blame them if they maybe are a little bit mentally stunted after this game, because they're just, what do you do? What do you do to the grass starter? There's not really much they can do. Like, the Buzzwole does finally get on top of Rodent, but Rodent just runs in and he's just going to go right back to Razor leaving everybody. He's just not threatened at all by the enemy team. And don't forget too, he's also playing pretty closely to the Electrode, so he's also getting the heals every time it bounces on the ground. Like, there's just no damage to threaten the Desi.
Yeah, and also on each of these hits, the Decidueye is healing a little bit back. When there's like 2 or 3 people in range, it's actually a really significant amount of healing. It's a surprising amount of self-sustain because they're just huge targets. Nice! And the Decidueye actually was able to, I think, defend that one. I think they used the eject button just to be safe, but I mean, they're all in the right place at the right time, and this Blastoise is probably going to go down. Nope, not quite. There we go. Auto from the Snorlax. That's unbelievable. We don't even know what they do here.
I think you're thinking about the next game. You've got 15 seconds to go. You're 2 points behind. Okay, hindrance resistance going into game 2. Probably not going to be this lineup again. We will definitely be seeing a change in the composition. Who are we swapping out though?
Oh, I gotta see this damage. I have to see this damage before we even consider anything else.
200K, honestly, promise.
It's very, very possible.
250. I'm saying 250.
16. Okay, I don't know. I don't have enough experience with how much damage this could be.
Come on.
It's totally possible.
We saw.
Okay, I'm gonna say 220. Oh! That was, I don't even know that. I soul read that one. Okay, but I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, look at that. That is easily more than everything else. It's almost 2 times as much as every other Pokemon in the game combined. That is ridiculous. Okay, that was awesome. Big fan of that. Now, how do you counter it? Now that I'm done seeing the damage that I so desperately wanted to see, what would you do theoretically? Obviously, you know, there's only so much that any of us who've played this mode. What would you think about trying to use to counter it? You mentioned a few options. Anything else?
So I think first things first, I'd swap out the Blastoise. A Blastoise that in that particular game really just didn't get to accomplish anything, and it really was because of the Desi. Like, the constant range damage streaming in on the Blastoise. Normally Rapid Spin makes you so tanky, right? And you'd be able to sit on top of your opponents. You can use the Hydro Pump to push them out of the Electrode Circle. that wasn't the case because he just couldn't survive for long enough. So Blastoise has to be swapped out. I would like to see if they wanted to bring in the Cinderace. I do think Cinderace is fantastic at hunting down the Decidueye because it's a ranged attacker, elusive, can outcompete it in a 1v1. So if they want to try Cinderace, they absolutely could. They could probably bring in the Dragonite if they want to keep on going with this like very in-your-face melee-style composition. Dragonite, I think with the Outrage and the Dragon Dance could really threaten the Desi because Dragonite with Dragon Dance, very, very mobile. You'll have access to the Unite as well if you need to really chase down the Desi. I guess you could try Garchomp. You know, Garchomp could potentially be good, but the issue with Garchomp is that there is a bit of a mechanical skill involved. You miss the Dragon Rush, and that Pokemon does become a bit of a sitting duck as well. So Garchomp, if you're feeling comfortable, if you're feeling confident, Garchomp is being highlighted here and detailed. So they're definitely thinking about it, obviously. The Garchomp looks like it might be the mainstay here for Mr. Speed. We'll see if they do lock it in. Just balling, just ball with the lineup. It worked last game, just keep going. It's going to be up to the hindrance resistance to figure out a solution to deal with the Desi. I would like to see... Oh, no. I'd probably swap out the Blastoise. I think I'd bring the Buzzwole back.
Or honestly, I would bring the Champ as a defender in this spot. I think maybe that would be good.
Machamp, Buzzwole, Garchomp. Yes.
Yeah, yes. The walling from, again, sorry, I'm totally mispronouncing your name, Latichols. They're doing so much. They are like, despite the fact that it was 230,000 damage basically from this Decidueye, I think the Snorlax play was the MVP play for me, which is saying a lot, obviously. So I don't know if they're going to have an answer for that regardless in this situation, but we'll see if the Garchomp will be enough. That's their only big change. Another pick that I could have seen, Gengar. I've seen that a few times in this mode, and it can really hunt down some of these squishy targets or the less squishy targets. I mean, if this Snorlax is on your side, that could have been an option, but we'll see how things go. It's just a 1-0 lead
it's
right now.
So big pivot here for the Blastoise. We're going for Surf, which I do think is a really great change for the Blastoise, right? Because now you have a way to threaten a stun on the Desi and also going to be able to set up for the Garchomp. They do manage to get them cornered, but they just aren't able to latch on with that Garchomp. But look at this though. Mr. Speed finally able to dish out some damage, threatening with those basic attacks, and he will be able to catch out the Desi just because of that Dragon Rush. So already this one change to the lineup already hugely benefiting hindrance resistance.
Wow, this is looking so different. I mean, we're talking about self-sustain. That Garchomp gets anywhere close to anybody, and this damage almost looks like it's not doing anything.
Live it outrage.
Yep, just to try and close things out. Another big KO. And they're just playing basically like 1v3 this entire time. I'm surprised they haven't launched it somewhere like top side, bottom side. They just keep sending it back to center.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they managed to get another Dragon Rush down, managed to catch up some very squishy Pokemon. Rodon, he's trying to go for the basic attacks. They need the stuns to stop this Garchomp, but he keeps healing up. They do finally lock him down, but they've required so much effort, so many moves. But it looks like they do finally break through. Hindrance resistance, the block from the Snorlax, able to help them score that first point.
Yeah, that's the problem, is like you can only follow up so much with these Surfs, and if these Surfs aren't knocking everybody out, this damage has not been enough to follow up from this Garchomp. I mean, it's been doing amazing. I think the Garchomp was the right pick for sure, as we're gonna see another Live in Outrage. But okay, one big KO, and wow, beautiful. Just barely pushing everybody aside before they get that point. It's just, this Garchomp's kind of having to hard carry.
It has to. It has to hard carry. But we also, remember we spoke about the Livid Outrage, the threat of that Unite move alone. Like, we already saw in that moment how threatening that could be. So I think that's probably going to be the play again for Mr. Speed. If he's not going to try to Dragon Rush them out of the circle, it's going to have to be that Livid Outrage. He's healing with those basic attacks. He's going to catch them out with that Dragon Rush. Again, there goes the Lucario. Rodon, he will finish him off though with the basic attack. So thankfully the Razor Leaf is coming in handy. The heal from the Electrode. That was so crucial. Rodon needs to heal up.
Yeah, well, there we go. They got it. And a few more autos, and they're for sure going to be there. But we're kind of back into the same situation where it's just going to be Garchomp, and you really have to check this Garchomp. Oh, no.
They're going to do something about this Garchomp. He's just sitting on top of the Desi, and Desi knows if he does anything, he's Dunzos anyway. There's the basic attacks trying to chip away at this Blastoise. Garchomp, though, going after the Lucario and the Snorlax instead. Dragon Rush, though, unfortunately won't catch out Lakelz. Here comes the Live in Outrage, catching out the Owl yet again, and Lakelz running away for his life. Here comes the Electrode. No one's there. there to grab it, and that's going to be a point for hindrance resistance.
This is working so well. I love the fact they're saving all the Livid Outrages for right when it's about to land. It's such a perfect timing. You can tell that they've run this comp before, and wow, this is looking incredible. They've just got to deal with it. I don't really know what they do exactly to deal with this, but if you can get the Garchomp gone, it's your game, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Oh, yep. Oh my goodness, so close to getting KO'd right there, Agent Blue, but they managed to heal back once again. This volleyball healing doing so much.
Rodo, they can't afford to lose the owl here. They need the damage. Here comes the Garchomp yet again. But Mr. Speed, he's down to half health. He's not able to do anything. He will manage to throw out the Dragon Rush. Here comes the bit outrage. Here comes Electrode. It will bounce. So the team was grouped up to be able to catch the Electrode, but now the owl in trouble. No one's there to catch the Electrode, and that's going to be it. The hindrance resistance takes this game.
Wow. And I mean, this was entirely just going from one damage dealer to the other as far as like, how do you deal with this? And I mean, the fact that there is just so much self-sustain on this Garchomp, if Garchomp gets close to even a single person, they can completely counteract the damage that Decidueye is doing to them, which is ridiculous because Decidueye does a lot of damage, but you can see it right there. Honestly, there was a lot of healing going on. You can see 105,000 damage taken from Agent Blue. And oh, wow, that is almost exactly the same amount of damage that we saw last game from Decidueye. It was exactly 224,000. I don't know who has the slightly higher.
I need to direct your eyes to the recovery on the Garchomp. Okay, this is essentially an attacking Pokemon for the hindrance resistance, and he's healing 95,000 damage all on his own. That's a self-sustainable attacker right there. I know it's an all-rounder, okay, but bear with me. But that already just proves how scary Garchomp is in the right circumstances. Like, this was the perfect composition. You're up against a Desi who has limited, it's got limited escape mechanisms because it's not running the typical Shadow Sneak, right? Like, it's running the Leaf Storm. And that's not really the best escape mechanism for the owl, right? Like, in most cases, Road is like, okay, I have to stand my ground, I have to just kite, do basic attacks and hope and pray that it's going to be enough damage, and hopefully my teammates are able to help me out here. Lucario really felt quite redundant, I think, in that particular round as well, just because Lucario, what does it do to a Garchomp? Not much.
I know, yeah. And the thing was, it was kind of the other way around, where it was sitting there just like hindrance resistance, you know, charging up Power Punch, and the entire time Garchomp was just healing off of it. It was just like a free Citrus Berry over and over and over, which is why it took just buffet basically, and that's why they took like over 100,000 damage. So I would like to see a role change as far as Lucario. I think if Machamp is there and you're able to like pick up the Garchomp and like maybe like displace them a little bit while the Decidueye is just trying to burn them down, it will stop them from attacking for just a few seconds, which is probably all it will take. Also, you have the chance to kind of like use your own Unite back. So I do like the Lucario in this situation, and like I said, Lucario did win in Japan in that role, in kind of the goalie role. But when you got to deal with something like this Garchomp, every little bit of crowd control matters, and you just don't have any as Lucario, and that's a problem.
Yeah, nothing on the Lucario, and I think we also have to kind of say that they didn't really have too many expendable disables that they wanted to really use on the Garchomp. Like, there are some teams, some Pokemon that actually do rather well up against the Garchomp, and Garchomp looks like it is going to be making a return in our third game of this best of 3 set. How does Balling deal with this, though? Okay, how do you deal with the Garchomp? Now, Venusaur could... Okay, I say could be an answer, but I also think this could potentially be a double-edged sword, because great, okay, Venusaur can heal itself, also has access to Petal Dance, but I don't think it does enough damage to really threaten the Garchomp and might still end up being food. So we're gonna kind of roll it back, but we're gonna get a mirror. No, they bring back the Venusaur. Okay, so slight mirror, but different damage dealers. The Garchomp on the hindrance resistance, and for balling, they're gonna be balling with the Venusaur.
Interesting. I feel like Venusaur is going to be able to self-sustain as well really well, but once it's on like its moves on cooldown, I feel like A, it's going to not do enough damage to actually KO the Garchomp, and then B, it's going to be a little bit vulnerable and not able to escape. So I'm really curious about this. We'll see, going from one grass starter to another, but game 3, another game 3 in our second game of the day. Just balling and hindrance resistance.
Yeah, so we do see it's going to definitely be the Giga Petal Dance on this Venusaur, but look at the Venusaur already struggling. Garchomp just runs right at him. Mr. Speed again, just feasting on just balling. And unfortunately for the Blastoise, when his moves are on cooldown, he is basically a sitting duck. He is just healing this Dragon-type Pokemon. Venusaur is back, but Mr. Speed not threatened at all in this game, it looks like. Look at the Venusaur! There's no way you win in a basic attack battle. Oh, no.
I mean, the damage is okay, but look, it just the move ends, right? The pedal dance ends, and then it takes like 3 auto attacks, and suddenly Garchomp is back at full HP, and it doesn't really matter what you just did. The sustain ends for a few seconds too, and that's really all it takes. So I'm not sure if I like this quite yet. We're gonna see the Verdant Anger come out, maybe try to do a little bit more damage, or maybe try to do that when they're a little bit lower. But so far, I mean, they've managed to defend. It just looks like Just Ballin is playing off their back foot for sure.
Okay, so most of the unites have been expended. Mr. Speed is super low. They just need a little bit more damage. They got to keep kiting this Garchomp. They do finally get rid of him, so the threat is gone. Blastoise is super low, but Just Balling, can they do anything with this opportunity? They still have to deal with the defenders from Hindrance Resistance, which means Garchomp, he's back, full health, and now they have to deal with this very scary Dragon-type Pokemon again.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that they don't have the damage of the Decidueye anymore, and the other side is just so survivable. They've got to find an answer. Oh, they do manage to take it, and once again, it all comes down to the walls from the Snorlax. I mean, that has been how they've scored almost every single one of their points. Really good stuff. I mean, an early lead, that's going to be huge for them.
So all of a sudden, Hindrance Resistance, they're the ones on the back foot here because they're down a point. They need to either get a point on the board themselves. Essentially, that's the only way for them to really win the game here. They've got to force a tie, because if we're looking at knockout situation, 100% Hindrance Resistance will win this matchup. So there goes the Blastoise. They're about to lose the Venusaur here. Unfortunately, just too slow. They do force the Snorlax back though, but thankfully for Lekels, he's able to keep the team in the game. But for how much longer? They need to find an answer for this Garchomp.
I know, and I mean, it's so tough. Tries to Dragon Rush them all away, or Dragon combo, but they are going to be able to push Mr. Speed back just slightly. I mean, plenty of still, and moving up forward is kind of also maybe not an advantage, having multiple people up there because of the Venusaur, and you can kind of see that coming into play. The Venusaur just being able to sustain so much on it, and it's kind of just both sides self-sustaining infinitely off of each other, as finally we're starting to see Just Ball get really low range, and a nice unite, a great Hydro Typhoon to try and stay alive in that situation.
Push back from the Dragon Rush! That is the constant threat of the Garchomp as well. Not only is this a very deadly Pokemon in that close quarter combat, but the fact that it can also displace with the Dragon Rush. Thankfully, Lekels is there to save the day, but with the game currently tied, Just Balling need to score at least a point if they want to try and win this best of 3. Lekels keeping the team in the game, but the rest of the team that was struggling, Venusaur super low, but there goes the Garchomp, also the Venusaur.
Oh, the Surf! Oh no! It wasn't quite in time. They eject buttoned just to get back, and now it's a 2-point lead for Hindrance Resistance. I almost feel like certainly as well they're in the KO lead, so a minute and 30 seconds left. We have to see so much action from Just Ballin'. And unfortunately, that's one of the big problems of this new team comp as well. They just don't have the damage. Almost surfs them out of the way, but not quite in time. And every little bit of time that elapses is just further and further in the Hindrance Resistance's favor. They've basically got to get 2 scores in 30 seconds.
All right, so with just a couple of minutes to go, or at least a minute to go here, Chef, I don't know if Just Balling is going to be able to get the winning stipulation here. They've got to score a point. They also have to get more KOs. I don't think they can win in KOs, so to score 2 points here, that would be a miracle. They'd be relying on Lekels to be the one to try to win them the game, but he doesn't! Lekels!
It's possible. It's definitely possible. All right, 38 seconds.
It's all Lekels. This man has one job. It is to block the team to victory. He's done it a couple times already. He's got to do it one more time again. But while that happens, Mr. Speed, his goal, if he can get one more point to the team with the Living Outrage, that could be how they win. But Lekels, again with the block, able to be there to defend the Electrode. And Lekels, he's trying to find that opening. 15 seconds to go. Can they do anything? No! They get KO'd at the last second. Hindrance Resistance. They're going to take game number 3 and will advance to the grand finals here.
Wow, what a turnaround. By the way, this is going to be the highest damage of all of the games, I would have to assume. Interestingly enough, actually, the was coming from Blastoise, not of Garchomp. It's a pretty funny little stat. But I do feel like the self-sustainability is so
Yep.
Oh,
Right,
there we go.
chefs. So, yeah, there's the damage for the two teams. Mr. Speed absolutely ravaged game 2, and I think we could say game 3, he did even more. 275,000 damage on the Garchomp alone. Yeah, Rhoda did 174k by himself, but I think the issue that he kind of ran into here was that even though you were doing so much damage on that Venusaur, a lot of it was just being healed by the Garchomp. I'm pretty sure most of the damage Venusaur did that game was directed to the Garchomp, but most of it, as we said before, was constantly being healed by those basic attacks because Venusaur, although a very scary attacker in some situations, I think in this particular matchup, not very compatible for a Venusaur because this Pokemon specializes more in progressive damage rather than burst because it's not running Solar Beam, it's running that Petal Dance and Giga Drain, which it allows it to survive longer in fights. But against a Garchomp, that's not really something that's going to give it the big edge in that particular matchup. So I think Roto did the best that he could really piloting the Venusaur. It's just unfortunately this Pokemon, although good on paper, I think when it comes to execution, it's really hard to play that Venusaur into Garchomp matchup.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's very difficult. I get their idea, right? Their concept there was, like we're gonna just try to like sit here and just like tank and be a little bit more self-sustainable than you. But the problem then too is that it doesn't really enable you to get any offense started, and it was just slightly in the favor, I think, the healing versus damage of the Garchomp. One thing that I think would have been really good is I don't think I saw it when the game was starting, but a cursed item to stop some of that self-sustain maybe could have been really nice because there's just so much healing. It's ridiculous. Maybe it could have pushed a little bit more in the Venusaur's favor, but I would have liked to see maybe something else attempted, maybe some other switch. Also, we didn't really get to point this out as much, but the Surf switch as from the spin to the Surf on the Blastoise, I think that was huge. The spin, it's a cool concept, but when you have the Garchomp basically doing that exact same thing, I feel like Surf does an extremely good job of that, of being able to kind of change how people deal even with that Garchomp or with their defense or anything.
Yeah, no, I think it was a very good pivot, and it was a very necessary pivot because we did see how much Rapid Spin was a bit of a wet noodle ability, unfortunately, for this particular set. So I think we might be seeing more Surf Hydro Pump, I think, for today, just because the value in landing those moves, especially in this kind of game mode, being able to pull Pokemon away with the Surf, push them away with the Hydro Pump, I think it's just too valuable, especially if you're there to kind of set up for a damage dealer on your team, whether it be an attacker or all-rounder, really doesn't matter. Your goal as that Blastoise is either to push people off the Electrode landing zone or to create an opening for your own teammates. But that set is done. We're going to move on to our next one here, and it's going to be with What Time Is Noon versus 17 Black. And this is our second semi-final match of the day. Winner of this set is going to be going to the grand final, and as you could probably tell, you already know what the matchups are going to be for grand finals and for our third place match. So keen to see what kind of changes we're going to be seeing from these teams coming into the semi-final matchup. We've already seen What Time Is Noon. We know what they're capable of playing. They're capable of playing the bread and butter strat that a lot of other regions are currently playing, but this will be the first time that we see 17 Black play, so I'm kind of keen to see what Pokemon they're kind of rocking for this game mode.
We've got a chance to see what time is. Maybe I'm a little frozen right now, but hopefully everybody can still hear me all right. But we can see what time 17 Black.
All right. Okay, so let's see what 17 Black is going to be rocking for this particular matchup. So What Time Is Noon is going to go for their stock standard lineup of Cinderace, Marchand, and Buzzwole. 17 Black, though, probably having watched that previous matchup, going to be taking a page out of our previous set and picking the Garchomp. So Garchomp, Blastoise, and Snorlax seems to be I suppose, the flavor of the region for NA. We're not 100% sure if this is the flavor of the month yet. Actually, they're going to go for a change, so swapping out the Snorlax for the Marchand instead, which I do think is a reasonable change too, because another very great Pokemon that can replace the Snorlax essentially does what it does. Not better. Right. I think there are differences between the two Pokemon. Snorlax, I think, can threaten with the block, whereas for the Marchand, it threatens a single Pokemon, but is also able to chase down the Electrode landing zones better than a Snorlax in most cases.
Yeah, stoppable from the submission is just a big deal. So here we go. What's up left? We got a chance to see them a lot more.
Yeah. All right, so as we jump into this matchup here, Chef, already we got one knockout. The Garchomp is going to be taken off the map already from 17 Black side of the map. So this Cinderace already kicking in for what time is noon. Now the Blastoise is going to struggle as he's being thrown around by this Cinderace Buzzwole combo, leaving just the Machamp and the Garchomp alone. And oh no, they weren't in position to grab the Electrode landing zone. So right off the bat, we have our first point going to what time is noon. So coming into our second round, 17 Black, they're going to have to pay attention to this Electrode because just as we saw, sometimes even just a hair off the landing zone can really punish you.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see. Oh my goodness, so much damage coming from the Cinderace. Oh, nice Hydro Typhoon to just try and stay alive. Tries to serve them out of the their kind of centered goal, but unfortunately, it's not going to matter all that much. And once again, go nice big Unite from the Garchomp, but manages to get away just barely. Might get KO'd in return, but no, great escape from Rat.
Great escape for a Rat. A Garchomp, though, will finally be taken down thanks to the Buzzwole, though. So back to square one. Both of these teams missing their main damage dealers. Just going to be a battle between their defenders and their all-rounders as they try to stay on top of the Electrode. Now, it is pretty quick, too. So any mistakes could potentially happen here. Blastoise, though, trying to make a play happen. Thankfully, the Surf will get them there in time. Kyo is still there to try and threaten. But unfortunately, versus two, Buzzwole isn't really in the best position to pull anyone off of that goal zone. Here comes the Electrode. We do have the Machamp there to stay on top and catch the Electrode for the team. And now both teams trying to figure out, okay, what do we do here? Who can we threaten? Because for right now, 17 Black, they missed the goal zone again. That's 2 points for what time is noon.
That's tough. I mean, that is, it's funny too. We saw what last noon. Being down.
Yeah. Man, we're seeing them struggle, Chef. They really are struggling, unfortunately, especially up against this Cinderace. I think 17 Black may be getting a little bit too ahead of themselves for some of these fights as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. Raph is going to be here to be able to catch the Electrode, and this Cinderace is going to go for a 1v1 up against that Garchomp. Dragon Rush won't be able to connect, however. They almost caught them off of that, but there goes the Garchomp. Cinderace, they're still wailing on that Buzzwole. Machamp is there to catch the Electrode yet again, and this Blastoise is trying to set up for a play, but oh, that Blaze Kick, beautiful timing, preventing the Blastoise from being able to pull off any sneaky surfs. Lordy trying to create an opening for the team. This Electrode, though, still bouncing side to side. What time is noon is still leading. 17 Black, though. What can they do? They're really struggling to be able to cut through this defense from what time is noon. Like, they have to be back in time to catch the Electrode, but they also have to be able to get on top of 17 Black. Like, this Electrode is just traveling too fast for this team to be able to comfortably go for play. Uses the Unite move, but isn't able to catch up both. Thankfully, Garchomp is there to be able to catch the Electrode. 17 Black, unfortunately, missing out on a crucial opportunity. Oh my goodness, this game is getting very, very close with 17 Black. With a minute and 30 seconds to go, what can they really do? Garchomp is there, Livid Outrage going to be used, but what can they really do? They catch out Kyo on that Buzzwole. They're going to have to catch up the ball yet again. There goes the Garchomp. Okay, equalizer for both of these teams, 1-1. For 17 Black, they are still stuck on this 0-2 scoreline, just not able to get on top of what time is noon. Here we go. There goes the Electrode, caught yet again by what time is noon. 17 Black still fighting with this Garchomp. The Garchomp, unfortunately, just failing to deal with this Cinderace that just does too much damage. This is not the same as our previous matchup here, folks. Garchomp does struggle against Cinderace because Cinderace just does too much damage to allow this Garchomp to really play that game of survivability. We still have another 40 seconds left to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, but there's the score! That's going to be it. What time is noon? Locks and load game number 1 for this best of 3. And hopefully we do have Chef coming back in very soon. But this Cinderace, okay, we did question how Cinderace would be able to fare up against the Garchomp. And I think Raph gave us a masterclass in why Cinderace threatens the Garchomp.
Yes, yes. Hopefully I'm back in. Hopefully I'm not lagging. I guess we'll see. Only one way to find out. But yeah, the Cinderace has looked amazing. Absolutely a top pick. And I do love the fact that it's just a little bit more survivable than the Decidueye that we got a chance to see earlier. So it just does such a great job of being able to escape. I mean, some amazing feints out of Raph right there as well. But it is funny, right, that we got a chance to see what time is noon. They basically, like, I don't know. Honestly, in the most polite way possible, they got stomped a little bit in their very first game of the day, and then they have just dominated. They've just absolutely dominated, which is really funny. They made the adaptation, which is great to see, and they're looking like the team to beat right now.
No, they definitely do look like the team to beat. I think someone's going to do something about Raph Cinderace. He's played a really good Cinderace today. They have to do something to deal with it, whether it be to go for a lineup that might have to go for a little bit of dive. I mean, Garchomp, okay, I think I did mention this before, right? Garchomp is a potential solution, but the only issue with Garchomp is that if you miss that Dragon Rush, if you're not able to connect onto that Cinderace, you kind of fall to all the range damage that comes from the Cinderace because you're committing Dragon Rush to the Cinderace. That means you don't really have an escape mechanism to be able to help you. So yeah, we'll just have to see like what else they can kind of pull out of the Magician's hat to try and solve this Cinderace problem. Because other than that, essentially we might just be seeing a mirror matchup. You know, it could just be Cinderace versus Cinderace again.
Right, which is funny. That's how they ended up picking up Cinderace, was they kind of mirrored their opponents in round number 1. But we'll see if there are any other options. Like I said, I think Gengar would be a pretty cool pick to see at some point. I think that, I don't know, just something that has a little bit more mobility in general would be kind of neat to see if you can try and get a dive. But so far, nothing that they've been doing is working. Nothing that any team has been doing has been working against Cinderace. And I do know that a lot of teams without Cinderace have been doing quite well in the other regions. So we'll see if there is a big answer. That's wild. Oh,
wait,
come on.
No, our hopes and dreams dashed in a
maybe.
flicker. We could no. Cinderace is being hovered. That big boy is like, guys, come on. We gotta play the Cinderace. We gotta play what's good. It's good for a reason.
Yeah, they're gonna lock it in. Pretty solid choice right there. Seems like they haven't fully locked in their comp on the other side. I'd be surprised if they did end up switching. It's just been working so well for them, but it looks like we are going to see another mirror match. So this team has like been spreading through these matches, right? It was what was it, Blastoise pickers, and then it spread to the opposite side to What Time Is Noon, and then their next match it started with What Time Is Noon, and then it spread to 17 Black. So it looks like whoever loses this team really likes to try it. So we'll see if they can turn things around. But What Time Is Noon on a tear right now.
Yeah, What Time Is Noon? Just they got to figure out how to deal with Raph, because Raph Cinderace just looking so good in all of their matches so far. So we'll see what Big Boy's going to be able to do here, if he's going to maybe be able to outplay Raph in that Cinderace game, because we can already see how impactful Cinderace is for any team that really is able to accommodate this Pokemon. But look how defensive everyone's playing. They're just like, guys, we're just going to hide in the bush. We don't really need to reveal our position, which is going to leave, I guess, both teams in a bit of a weird spot. But here comes the Boswell starting things for the team. They tried to go right after the Big Boy, but he's there with the Blaze kick going after the Boswell. It's going to be both Boswells going down thanks to the Cinderaces. And back to square one, I guess. It's 2 versus 2, Marchant versus Cinderace. So
It's truly a mirror match. Yeah, well, Machamp versus Cinderace, and also Cinderace versus Machamp, so not technically inaccurate. But yeah, like a true mirror match. The fact that they both KO'd the exact same Pokemon on the other side, and now they're going back to playing passive once again. Not going to be able to find any offense, as most of the fighting's going to happen on the 17 Black side, it looks right now.
Big Boy's been caught. I'm looking at his health bar, super low. They're going to be able to catch out the Cinderace on 17 Black side at the cost of the Buzzwole. But because of that, Raph has a huge opening. The enemy Buzzwole is super low, caught by the submission, but there's no follow-up damage. This is the issue when you don't have your Cinderace. You don't have anyone to follow through with the submissions or the grabs by the Buzzwole or Machamp.
right? They just don't have that like level of damage, and I mean that's what you're really committing to when you're picking up this comp, where you're like double dunk and then just burn them down. And unfortunately, you got to have the burn, otherwise it's not going to be doing what it wants to. Nye's going to pull back the Cinderace and a double dunk. Like I was saying, they managed to defend while doing that. That's going to be a huge KO. 2 members down now for what time is noon. Can they displace this?
Oh,
I don't know.
They kind of missed an opportunity. I thought they might have been able to just go for a bit of a bum rush play, but I guess they saw that it was Machamp and they thought, oh, we don't really have anything to keep this guy stun locked. They're going to lose the potential Buzzwole in that top lane, though, so it's going to leave Cinderace and Machamp fully exposed. And look at this, Raph and Co going right after them. They tried to push them out of the Electrode zone, but no, looks like it's going to be them playing too deep again. Raph taking out the enemy Cinderace, and they're not able to get under that Electrode again. First point for What Time Is Noon.
That's been one of their biggest strengths, right? I think What Time Is Noon is they know exactly when they get 1 KO how to follow up off of it to try and score. That's why they've been taking advantage of so many of these like small situations. And on the other side, 17 Black, they just weren't able to take advantage of kind of a bigger situation. Like you were mentioning, when 2 members were down, you got to know exactly how to take advantage of that in this game mode. Otherwise, you're just wasting so much time. And right now, What Time Is Noon, they're doing a great job at it. An attempt to kind of pull that Machamp off the defense, but instead, I mean, they're just getting 2v1 over here. This Buzzwole is starting to get pretty low.
Yeah, Buzzwole's getting pretty low, but trying to create the opening for Big Boy. They're going to try and go after this Machamp, who is at half health. Buzzwole's super low, but will be sniped out thanks to Raph on that Cinderace, and losing Big Boy as well, leaving the Machamp alone, but he is able to catch that Electrode at the last moment. But can anyone make it to the goal? No, they can't. That's going to be another point for What Time Is Noon. 2 points down, 17 Black not only need to somehow score either 2 points and get knockouts, but the only other way for them to win is to score 3 points in the span of 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Oh, that's going to be tough. I mean, we've seen it be pretty close to being able to do that before, but I mean, right now, it just seems like everything's in control of What Time Is Noon. Another big KO. 2 more KOs, actually. They're going to just get a 3rd point. A nice set of coordination. Like I said, every single moment that they can, they take advantage of their openings. And like I said before this set, What Time Is Noon looking like the team to beat, hands down.
Well, What Time Is Noon is going to our grand finals, ladies and gentlemen, winning the set 2-0 against 17 Black. Now, this doesn't mean 17 Black is out of the tournament. They will be playing in our 3rd place matchup later today, which I think we're going to be going into right after this matchup here, folks. But our grand finalists have been decided. Our top 3 matchup has also been decided as well. And we are essentially reaching, you know, almost the end of the show here, Chef. You know, we're reaching that grand finale, and we're also starting to get a bit of a glimpse on what's going to be our final matchups for today's games as well, right? This ultimate combo of Buzzwole, Machamp, and Cinderace really just being the flavor of the day. Really strong trio. Cinderace outperforming not just in Asia, but also in North America as well. So kind of not surprised. You know, we did see the magic of this Pokemon in these other regions. I think it was just a case of how the NA teams were able to incorporate the Fire Bunny into their lineups, and you know, they kind of understand the assignment. They know what Cinderace is good at, so they are capitalizing on the strength of this Pokemon.
Right, and just doing such a good job protecting it as well. I mean, they're really playing their entire comp around it. You can see whenever any of these teams are losing their Cinderace, everybody just kind of backs up. They're like, all right, well, we got to wait for our carry to come back. Otherwise, we can't really make these plays. But yeah, it's great to see. I'm a huge fan of Cinderace in general, and I'm a huge fan of this particular moveset, Feint and Blaze Kick. I'm a fan of it in the main game mode, which is significantly less useful, but it's actually in a quite good spot right now. So my joke is a little bit muddled. But yeah, it's really cool to see the kind of just like the micro play and like the intricate like skill taken in these like little fights with very little space, and it's just constantly back and forth. So we get a chance now. We can see how today's turned out so far. Like you said, we are getting very close to the end with only, well, technically 2 teams left, but 4 teams still deciding their fate.
Yes, so next up on the broadcast, we are going to be jumping into our 3rd place playoff match between Just Balling and 17 Black. And then right after that, we're going right into our grand final matchup, which is going to be between the Hindrance Resistance and What Time Is Noon.
I mean, we've seen a decent amount of 2-1s, actually. I mean, What Time is Noon and the Hindrance Resistance both not going undefeated through the bracket today, so you can see that kind of playing out. But we'll see what these teams end up changing, how they end up flexing when both of them have kind of found their groove with the comps that they've found so far. So, I mean, this has been fast. You were right. This has definitely been a fast day so far. Some of these teams, they've kind of found their spots, and then they're like, okay, well, now we know exactly how to win, and so we're no longer going to time in all of these games, which we saw a lot more, I would say, in the early matches of the day. So we'll see if there's any more going to time throughout the rest of the day, or if this is now the time where it's like, we know how to be aggressive, we know how to choose our spots, and we know how to finish this and get home in time for lunch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these guys know how to kind of wrap things up. I'm actually looking forward to the grand final the most here, not just because it's the grand final, but we have to take into account the signature play styles from both of these teams so far, right? Like, we just saw What Time is Noon. They can really run that Cinderace, and they've just beaten a team that actually tried to run the Garchomp combo. But then we have to remember the Hindrance Resistance. This was the team that introduced Garchomp to today's matches, and you can really tell this team has really polished this play style. So I think now it's a question of who is actually going to be the better team. You know, like, is Cinderace really that dominant? Or did maybe our previous team just not play Garchomp to its full potential? Like, there are so many questions that we need answered, but we're going to have to wait until we actually jump into our grand final matchup. But before that, though, we are going to go for a quick break, and then we're going to go right into our third place matchup. So we'll see you guys in 5 minutes, Pokemon trainers.
Only 2 teams left in the grand finals here at the Electrode Volleyball World Tour. Hopefully this is non-laggy Wonder Chef here, and I'm casting with Danily. Then by casting with Danily, I mean basically Danily was casting while I was
Wonder
trying to
Chef
figure
lags.
out what was going on.
I think we've got to rebrand.
That's accurate. That is certainly accurate. Not just in internet, but, you know, trying to wake up in the morning, trying to get things done during my day. I'm just lagging behind quite a bit. But I'm glad that we're not lagging behind getting to this grand final, because this has been, I mean, honestly, this has been a really, really competitive region. I'm happy about that. Obviously, I got a chance to see some of the other regions, and I was like, okay, well, is NA actually practicing for this? And they certainly were. So now the question is, what will the meta be for our grand finals? But of course, we're going to get to that one after our third place matchup.
Yes, so we do need to decide who's going to be our third place team. So that's going to be a pretty interesting doozy as well, because I do think both of our third and fourth place teams, they actually run pretty interesting lineups, although we might maybe see some more mirror matchups, because Cinderace, Buzzer, Marchant really just seems to be something that teams like to really fall back to in NA. But we can't blame them too, because firstly, we're playing a competitive version of Electrode Volleyball. We're not playing, you know, ladder with random people. There are prizes on the line for our teams as well. So if they do want to go back to that kind of stuff, they absolutely can. But I think we are starting to see some of the teams play some pretty interesting Pokemon. The introduction to Garchomp has been pretty interesting. We did see Dragapult earlier today, but unfortunately that did not work out too well. We saw some Lucario, but I feel like the games that we saw Lucario, it's hit or miss. It kind of depends on what the enemy team plays, whether the Lucario is going to be useful or not. Desi also coming in today as well, coming in clutch for a couple games as well.
I love the Decidueye. I'm also a big Dragapult fan just in general, and so who knows, we might be able to see some of that come back out once again. We'll see what these teams have actually practiced. I mean, small note is that What Time Is Noon was the team that brought out Dragapult in the very first round of the day, the very first game of the first round, and then they completely switched over to what their opponents were playing and have won the entire way through. So we'll see. Maybe if things don't go the way that they would like, then it will be back to one of their original strategies. But just Ballin and 17 Black, I think it's a bit more up in the air what the comps are actually going to be, because like you mentioned, they've had some more unique options, and some of them have tried to kind of go over to this Cinderace comp. Some of them have not, but they've both shown that they can certainly play some other options. I mean, whether it be, like you said, the Garchomp quite a bit, or they've tried a few other things in some of their other matches. I would love to see a match where both of the carries are kind of like a melee option, you know, whether it be like a Tyranitar or a Garchomp, or maybe
Dragonite.
Yeah, honestly,
Dragonite, please.
I'm so surprised we haven't seen Dragonite. I think that would be a great pick.
Yeah, so, I just remembered. There was one Pokemon I wanted to talk about at the beginning of the day that I really forgot about. This was a Onyx special. Okay, they played this. I think they actually won their third place matchup with this lineup. Blaziken, Dragonite. They actually ran Blaziken, Dragonite, and it was crazy, because not only do you have to deal with the Dragonite in the front lines, but you also have a Blaziken that's going to be sitting on top of you as well. Is it going to work with every composition? No, I don't think so. I think this kind of a specialized comp, but against those low damage comps that don't really threaten a Dragonite and a Blaziken, these two can absolutely go ham. So I'm not expecting it to pop up, unfortunately, because we haven't seen anybody draft Blaziken up until this point. But who knows? You know, it's a third place matchup. It's game number 1. So the door's really open for anybody to maybe think about being creative for that first game, to maybe try and catch their opponents off guard. Because, like, this late into the tournament, if you suddenly pick something new, it's going to be a bit of a surprise. And, you know, sometimes you just need that little element of surprise to kind of throw your opponents off.
Well, hopefully we get to see a surprise. Blaziken makes a lot of sense, but we'll see what these teams actually choose. I mean, hey, Blaziken, it's got hindrance resistance. It's got the ability to displace people. Ooh, Talonflame. Different 3-stage fire Pokemon, fire bird, kind of. So we were almost there with that one, but interesting spot. Now, of course, that was their Snorlax player before on Just Ballin'. So we'll see what their strategy is now with the Talonflame. Maybe Flame Sweep is just the goal, right? You just flame sweep an entire team away, and you're like, well, good luck. And they don't really have too much hindrance resistance or unstoppable on the other side, so I do want to see if that works out.
Yeah, I actually could see that working out quite well. I think the only issue, though, is that what's going to be the main move for Lakel's here, right? Because I think the I think we did see Talonflame, at least I did for APAC West, and we saw it was Fly. And the idea behind the Fly Talonflame, it makes sense. Like, you're almost always going to be able to protect your side of the map because of the mobility for the Talonflame, and also Talonflame being protected in that fly. But once you land, you're setting yourself up to be caught out by the opponent, right? Because they know where you're going to be. They know you're going to want to sit on top of that Electrode when it lands on the ground. So it could be a bit hit or miss. But yeah, so kind of keen to see what the build is going to be for the Talonflame. I don't think they can afford to do Brave Bird either, because like they don't have a healer either. So it's going to be Fly. But like hells, we'll have to see what this Talonflame's going to do, because right now Slugger's kind of slugging him. What? Wait a minute. They score a point.
I did not see that even happening. Yeah, I was so busy. I was like, wait a minute. Talonflame is their goalie? I was like, that's not what I expected at all. But hey, you know, it does not even gonna matter. Wow, too quick. This is the fastest 2 points I think we've seen by far. Just balling. They're aggressive. Not living up. They've got to maybe run their Garchomp back, help defend, because they're getting very close to a third score even right there.
Yeah, I think it's just the surprise, right? The surprise of having to deal with that Surf Blastoise and the Dragon Rush from the Garchomp. I think it's kind of scaring the opponent a little bit, thinking like, wait a minute, oh, there we go. So there's going to be another score. This time it's going to be on the other side. So 2-1 scoreline, just falling. Not quite there, okay? They need a little bit more. 17 Black, they would love to equalize this if possible, but man, this is a very weird matchup.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a mistake too. They were flying and they just didn't come back down in time. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of damage. Look at that. Everybody getting pulled all the way to the right side of the map. That was a disgusting chain of pushes. And ooh, 4 points in like how many seconds? I mean, this is so fast.
A minute and a half. It's been a minute and a half and we have 4 points being scored by both sides. Okay, so we're playing pretty hard and fast here, Chef. So I think we got to kind of keep up, because I feel like we're falling behind here. There goes the Unite move from that Blastoise. They did try to stop them from catching out the ball there, but unfortunately not quite in a great position. There goes the Garchomp, removing the enemy Garchomp. Livid Outrage there to threaten the Talonflame, but Talon was able to catch out the ball for the team in just the last second. So Lakel's still doing his job. The Fly is there, will be down. Actually came down, I feel like, a little bit too late. Would have actually missed it if his teammate wasn't there. There goes the Talonflame. Flame Sweep gets used. Oh, lost the Talonflame. Garchomp is super low as well, being pushed back. Has to use the Dragon Rush to catch out the ball. Oh, that was very close.
I know, this has been close over and over and over. It's close right here too. Oh my goodness, Agent Blue so incredibly low right there. Does not get displaced, but there's getting really, really low. The Fly should guarantee at least one more block. Gotta find some more healing though on the side of this Talonflame. You are getting so incredibly low, and just, okay, I mean, they're getting slightly back up. They must have been pushed away. We didn't get a chance to see it, but it looked like they surfed him. Yeah, surfed in the end for point number 5. And this was not a huge damage game. This one was all just about how they could push away the other team, which I like that. A big shift from both sides.
Yeah, I don't think either side expected so much just shoving and pushing and brute forcing coming out from either side. So we saw some very, very quick scores. Our fastest game yet. And it was also a full set of points too. It wasn't a 3-0, it was a 3-2. So game 1 already of our third place match already done and dusted. First point going to Just Balling with their lineup. 17 Black, I think, absolutely caught off guard by the amount of pushing and shoving from the Surfs, the Dragon Rushes, the Flame Sweeps, just the constant threat of being pushed away and not making it to, you know, the Electrode. I'm going to be seeing some changes for sure. I think these teams might consider, on the side of 17 Black, I do think they're going to have to swap something out. I think the Marchamp's got to come back. I think they've got to bring that Marchamp back. They need the submission speed boost. They need someone there to guarantee to catch the Electrode, because that's what they struggled with in that round.
I think the Lucario would work decently well in this one as well. We did see Lucario being a little bit weak against the Garchomp, but so far some of the Garchomps haven't really been in that like exact same position as the defender, because they've kind of been fighting each other. It's not like the game where we saw the Decidueye where the Garchomp was just diving their backline the entire time because that was their target. I do feel like we've seen a lot of kind of like 1v1s with like the Snorlax versus somebody in the you know, like as they're trying to defend. So I could see Lucario working here. I could see certainly Machamp working here. It feels to me like Machamp is kind of a lock-in for the best kind of goalie position for me. There might be some other options, but it just looks so good at what it does, and it also takes advantage of the fact that you're just automatic level 15. You know, doesn't have to evolve, doesn't have to get that experience. It's just automatically good. It can use its Unite. It can use every single move that it has. I mean, it's got double mobility. It's got the cross chop to be able to move faster. It's got the submission to be able to move faster and be unstoppable. Everything about Machamp is just quite good for this mode, obviously. So I'd love to see it. We'll see if though that ends up being their goalie pick, if they've got anything else up their sleeves, because the Talonflame was an interesting one, and certainly there could be more as we're hovering over some interesting picks. And maybe
Desi.
actually going to be switching.
Desi might be making a comeback. So this is going to be Just Ballin's way of saying we are looking to win this game. Now, the thing is, you have to consider it's going to be Garchomp on the other side. So 17 Black, they do have a way to kind of penetrate into the back lines. And I think that big boy, he's going to be playing Surf Blastoise. So that's another threat that the Desi needs to be very aware of. But as long as the moves don't connect onto Road, and let's say Agent Blue and Lakells are able to successfully defend the Desi, this could be a sad day for 17 Black. It's really going to come down to the defenders game and the positioning game for both of these sides. Like, who's going to be able to catch out who first?
This was the exact comp that we saw used against Just Ballin earlier to beat them, but it was close, and we've clearly seen that Rhododendron, which is a wild name, is really, really good on this Decidueye. So if they can just do slightly better in this matchup, you know, maybe if Slugger isn't quite as comfortable diving the entire way through and surviving and winning, then things could be just very, very different in general. I like the fact that they're going back to it to try it again when they've got a game on board. So Just Ballin, one game away potentially from being our third place team.
Yeah, one game away, but that doesn't mean it's guaranteed here, Chef. So they got to fight for it. Both of these teams wanting to lock in that third place. So Desi doing its absolute best with the Razor Leaf is slowly cutting into Slugger, and he's losing health, unfortunately. And there goes the Garchomp. So Garchomp is down. Blastoise is isolated super low, but this Desi given free reign to do the basic attacks. Here comes the Electrode. Can they block away? Oh, beautiful block, forcing out the eject, but Machamp was just a little bit too far out of that circle.
That's exactly what we needed to see from Just Ballin to make it work. I mean, now two members a little bit close, and unfortunately, it just seems like this Garchomp has to just stay on this Decidueye to stand a chance. We are going to see Live It Outrage, and is going to catch them pretty well. Actually jumps over their head a few times, but manages to get the KO. And with two members down, I think actually maybe three in the end, they managed to get that score very easily. So that's an example of how the dive doesn't work and how the dive does work. And now they're going to have to go back and forth with this.
Yeah, so both teams are very, very capable of being able to take that score off of each other. Here comes the Snorlax threatening the block though, but he actually decided to withhold the block for now. Desi though slowly working down the Blastoise surface there, has him stuck on the wall. Beautiful catch out onto the Desi, so no more Razor Leaves for the next couple seconds here. Lucario having to really just tank the damage from Slugger, who really is just chopping through these health bars. Gonna try and push away Lucario, but Lucario was there just in the nick of time. Positioning is so key. The Garchomp is there. Oh, but no! Too late! Another point going to 17 Black.
And again, it just doesn't seem like Lucario has the speed to be able to deal with this Garchomp. Can't really kite it effectively. They've got to find a different way of dealing with it, and maybe you just have to stay back with the Decidueye. Maybe you have to change up the strategy in some way, but this Garchomp is just running over them. Another Live It Outrage is going to be another KO on the Decidueye, and they are going to be able to get the return, but I mean, look at this. It's going to be another member getting melted. Nice Unite from Snorlax, but I mean, look at the health on this Lucario. Finally gets healed a little bit from the Electrode, and they are going to get the return KO. Very nice. So we got to see some offense coming from Just Ballin now.
Oh, without the Garchomp there, they definitely want to make a play happen here. But they're going to try and heal up first, right? They use the Electrode to heal up that Lucario. Block's going to be deployed there by the Snorlax. But look at the Garchomp in the back lines looking to finish off the Lucario. But the damage from the Desi, is it going to be enough? They catch the Desi as well. Desi and the Snorlax, but the block is there to create that space. Desi wants to heal, but has to juke the Surf instead. Beautiful play from the Blastoise to prevent Road from getting the heals off. Oh, the Unite catching out the Desi. There's no more damage to worry about now. This Garchomp has free reign on this Lucario, but Lucario was there in the nick of time to defend the Electrode.
Oh, still, they're in a tough situation. Blastoise's starting to get pretty low. Another live at outrage, and they just do it on site when they see that Decidueye, which makes a lot of sense. They've done a great job, and another KO on the Decidueye. Just not able to be in this fight at all. Nice wall to be able to at least get one more return. The Decidueye will get the respawn. Knock coming up with a knock position. They couldn't move because of the knock. They were locked into place. That is so unfortunate, and that's one of the big downsides here of having that unite. And so, going to game number 3, a great switch as far as comps here. Unfortunately, just balling once again, finding that the answer to their own strategy is the Garchomp.
Yeah, the idea behind the Desi, it was great. I actually think if they didn't have Lucario, right, like they keep the Desi, they pick something else instead of Lucario, I think they would have actually had a better chance of being able to potentially win that game. Like I'd even say just switch out the Lucario, maybe bring in the Machamp or the Buzzball, and have that Pokemon really be there to provide that support to keep either Slugger at bay or that big boy at bay. They just needed somebody there to protect Roto. They needed Roto there to just constantly land those Razor Leafs and to cut down that Garchomp, but it doesn't matter. We're going into game number 3. We still have another opportunity for either of these teams to be able to win this set, but we're going for the full 3 games here, Chef. It's not going to be a 2-0 sweep. It's a full 3 games. What changes are we going to see? Because if I'm 17 black, I don't think they want to change anything. This Garchomp is very, very strong. If anything, it's actually forcing their opponents to be like, okay, is it Cinderace time?
Yeah, we're now in the exact same spot that they had to deal with before, where, I mean, we saw them literally lose with this exact same comp with the Decidueye, with the Lucario up against that Garchomp, and then their answer was the Venusaur, which honestly I did not think was working out. So they've got to find some sort of other answer. Honestly, you know, we've seen Tyranitar being hovered over a little bit. I do wonder if that could be an option, you know, doing some true damage there. I don't know. I'm just trying to think out. I'm trying to think what it could possibly be. I mean, honestly, the biggest thing for me, I think the Decidueye would be okay if you just had somebody else instead of Lucario. And that's basically what you just mentioned, right? It's the Lucario just feels like it does like one
against
thing
a
that the champ
Garchomp,
does.
it does nothing. Against a Garchomp. I think in any other matchup, like there's definitely room for Lucario to really shine. It's just this Garchomp matchup. It's not for Lucario. So I do think Lucario will definitely be swapped out. But I kind of wonder if they do keep Road on the Desi. But then again, I'd just say go Cinderace. Like I think if we compare Road Cinderace and his Desi, I think he actually plays a better Cinderace.
I mean, they're both quite good. They're both quite good, but obviously the Cinderace won, right? So that's the big difference there. So we'll see what the picks are, highlighting over some other interesting things. It looks like 17 Black, they pretty much just said, okay, we know what we're doing. We're going to stick with it. Oh, okay. Are we going to get the exact
with
mirror?
A Blissey? Yes. Oh, no. Wait, Lakel's, what are you doing? Lakel, come on. Blissey would have been brilliant. I want to see Helping Hand Safeguard Agent Blue.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you walk up to the other Garchomp and suddenly they get Helping Handed. Like, you cannot win that fight. Like, you just genuinely cannot win that fight. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
And you can Safeguard if you get caught by the Dragon Rush.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it's not going to happen. It's okay.
I know. We can think about forever about what could have been, but this Talent Flame, though, was looking pretty cool, too. So we'll see if it ends up working out. I mean, obviously, it brought them their first game. The rest of the comp, a little bit different. And, I mean, this is going to be a back to the Garchomp mirror, which is cool to see. No real ranged in this entire comp.
Is this our first mirror of a Garchomp? I think it is. Yeah. I don't think we had a double Garchomp match yet. So this is our first one here, Chef.
It might be, yeah. Or wait, was set 1 or game 1 of this set a mirror as well? It might have been, actually. I can't remember. But it was just such a chaotic match. So we'll see how this one goes, if it's any different. Still, once again, this defensive Talonflame just trying to get away. And score on the other side. It's happening the exact same way.
Yeah, the Kels didn't even have to do anything. He was just juking the other Garchomp. It was really his teammates on the other side of the map doing a fantastic job, being able to push the enemy team off of the Electrode scoring zone. But here we go. They will have bodies there to catch this one. But now we do have a bit of a battle happening here. 3 versus 2. The Kel's just going to be sitting back. He's on the Talonflame. He's very, very squishy with the Talon. Caught by the Dragon Rush. And that's 2 points. 2 points.
Oh my gosh, these teams just feel like they have like no staying power. It's just all aggression, which is fine, right? That's like a comp that you want to go for, but it's just really fun to watch this compared to the previous sets that we've been seeing. Just a lot of range. They are just going in, and look at that, all the way. The eject button just barely gets back in time. Oh my goodness.
That was so close. I almost had a panic attack out there, but that's the threat of the guard chomp. Live and Outrage on top of the Electro scoring zone does connect though. They do get the guard chomp, so that's going to leave the enemy guard chomp to be able to sit on the enemy map. And they get another one, 2 points for 17 Black, now forcing just fallen into a corner. You have to score 2 points back to back if they hope to win, because if I did my math correctly, I do believe 17 Black is leading in the KO department.
It feels that way. Another big Livid Outrage on top of them trying to just return and just doing so much damage. It looks like, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, that was the other Livid Outrage. We're looking at the current Garchomp, who's actually getting melted right now. That's a huge KO. We'll see if Just Ballin can try to take advantage of that, get another score. But Machamp has been pretty much uncontested. They're going to need to go all the way back to the other side, and we are going to see the respawn for the first Garchomp. So, all right, aggression here tries to get the Dragon Rush away, but unfortunately, the submission is going to prevent that. They're still going to have a chance to fight over here, though.
Yeah, they use the Dragon Rush to try and catch up to the goalies on the side of 17 Black. We still have Lakel's playing hide and seek with the Garchomp, but no! Didn't make it in time! The fly! Oh no! So that means 17 Black is going to be able to take Game 3 of our best of 3 third place match playoff, and will be our third place team in the entirety of the Pokemon Unite Electrode Volleyball World Tour North America leg. Congratulations to 17 Black.
Right, top 3 do get their own unique prizes, and I mean, I do get the idea of the Talonflame. I think the idea is that you don't engage as much without having to against the Garchomp as much. They unfortunately just missed their timing, and that's not the first time that they ended up missing their timing with a fly landing to be able to defend. They were a little bit late in the first, the last time that they used this comp. They were a little bit late as well, so it's unfortunate. It can be pretty tough. Maybe it's just something not quite as practiced as they wanted it to be, but they wanted to try something new, and 17 Black, they just stuck with what was working for them.
But I think sometimes, especially in like these very high stakes matches, it just makes sense, you know, for 17 Black to just continue to do what works for them. For Just Balling, I kind of feel like maybe the team just got a little bit shaken earlier on in that second match, and they thought like, okay, we need to change Lakel's as Pokemon. We can't keep running the Snorlax. But I have to say, I'm quite surprised they didn't decide to stick to the Snorlax. I thought Lakel was like, even though it was a tough Snorlax match because the existence of Slugger on the Garchomp was constantly a threat to him, he scored so many points for his team by simply shoving the opponent off the goal zone with the block. So yeah, I'm quite surprised he just decided to go for the pivot. But I guess in this particular matchup, he thought like, okay, I'm up against a Marchamp. I'm scared that my blocks are not going to do anything. So let's try and change up the strat, let my teammates be the ones to play far forward. It's just, Talonflame, it's such a risky Pokemon because it really relies on execution. Like we saw in that moment, right? Like I think they really lost due to timing. They just weren't able to hit the ground fast enough with the fly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really unfortunate way to lose the entire tournament at that point, right? And also, I mean, to break into the top 3, that would have been your only opportunity. So it's rough, but it happens. And I mean, still, I'm really happy with what I saw from that team. I mean, they had some really great, unique plays, and hopefully this is not the end for them. Hopefully they keep playing this mode, because I love seeing these teams do quite strong at that. But that does mean that 17 Black is our guaranteed third place team, and that leaves only one more match left for us in this tournament, which is the grand finals. And now we knew that we were going to see some probably different and chaotic stuff in that third place match, but grand finals, there is a chance that we are going to see as well a different type of mirror, but a way more ranged based comp, I think, from both sides.
You think it's going to be range-based? I feel like for Game 1, we could be seeing that Garchomp versus Cinderace matchup, just to get these teams to kind of get a feel of each other and say, like, okay, we're going to play what we have been winning with today, and may the best team win, ultimately. So that's why I was very excited for this matchup, because I knew like both of these teams, like they have strong play styles, but they're not mirror matchup play styles. They are effectively different play styles. Garchomp playing in your face, trying to chase down the Cinderace, whereas if you play Cinderace, you're the team that uses Cinderace to chip, have your teammates come in, finish off your opponents, and then you just kind of overwhelm your opponents because you're effectively farming them on their side of the map. So Yeah, I think we're about to see which strategy is going to be king, or who effectively is king of their strategy, and will be forcing their opponents to change things going up into game number 2. Because yeah, whoever loses this first game, I am expecting some pretty drastic changes. I don't think it's going to be a case of just mirror, mirror, mirror for all 3 games, assuming we get all 3.
Yeah, I do agree that's probably going to be the way that we start things off, though, and it's honestly, it's pretty close, right? I mean, it seems to be that those have been the 2 kind of carries, like the damage dealers that have been doing the most work in the entire tournament. It's just there's such different styles, and the thing about us seeing the Decidueye getting really bullied by the Garchomp is that we see that it really doesn't have a great way to escape. Now, the matchup between Garchomp and Cinderace in kind of the 1v1 is a much different game, right? You have to bait out the feints, you have to bait out where they're going to be moving with their blaze kicks. Are they going to escape? Are they going to go past you? And it's not going to be easy by any means, but it's going to give the Cinderace a lot more options than the Decidueye to actually escape. And sometimes a few more hits is really all that it takes to be able to get that extra little bit of damage and not allow the Garchomp to make a comeback.
Yeah, that's why I think we've been seeing a lot of Blastoise today, because I think teams are starting to realize that Surf Hydro Pump Blastoise is pairing really well with that forward playing Garchomp, because if whoever you catch in the Surf Hydro Pump combo, and you also have Hydro Typhoon to threaten with as well, that's enough setup for Garchomp to just basically sit on top of somebody and to just really wail on them, right? So yeah, I do think it might come down to that particular pairing. Like if they can catch out crucial Pokemon with the Surf Hydro Pump Garchomp combo, that could be what really blows the door wide open and says like, okay, maybe this Cinderace combo isn't going to work as well, which might instead blow the door wide open for Helping Hand Blissey Cinderace. I am trying to bait this strat out, because if you want to kite a Garchomp, Helping Hand Blissey is there, okay? That's a strat, but again, it's a very technical strategy, because you're also relying on your Cinderace having to really be self-sufficient, right? Because there is Safeguard, but there's only so much Safeguard can do to protect you from being caught if you're caught in Surf, Hydro Pump, Hydro Typhoon, Dragon Rush, Blizzard Outrage. There's a lot of attacks that's going to be coming in the way of that Cinderace. But I do believe the draft is ready, folks. So, Chef, let's hop into it. Game 1 of our grand final matchup.
All right, and I do see already, I think a lot of what we started to expect. Ooh, Umbreon would be really interesting. They are going to look at it. It has to be Mean Look, right? There's 0% chance it's not.
That's going to be filthy.
Do you Mean Look the Cinderace and just lit the Garchomp, like just go to town? Is that what's going to happen? I'm really curious. They also, by the way, may I note, have a Rocky Helmet on the Umbreon. I'm not sure if it's going to switch, but that's kind of a neat option if people are going to be, attacking them the entire time to get a little bit of extra damage. But we'll see. I like this. Hindrance Resistance, they've got some stuff left.
No, they definitely are thinking about this. I actually really like this thinking. Okay, the concept behind the Umbreon is great. I did remember seeing one Umbreon in APAC West. Now, the issue with this Pokemon in this game mode is that Umbreon is pretty immobile. It's very, very slow. It's not really great when it comes to reinforcing for all these team fights that like to happen on all corners of the map, right? You kind of need to have everything pinned in one corner. So how this could potentially work, if they can pin what time is noon on their side of the map and have Umbreon and Garchomp play extremely far forward, then we could see a really, really crazy matchup. Now, the thing is, we also don't know if it is Mean Look either. We could be seeing the alternative build. It's actually going to be Wish for the Umbreon, so they have the sustain. The damage reduction as well will come in handy, but is that going to be enough to help the Garchomp sustain the Cinderace?
I'm curious about that. Yep, and that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Not looking too good. Not a good start, Chef.
Yeah, I mean, okay, listen, the plan worked, but they used it at a time where they really needed to be somewhere else, I think, is the problem, right?
Yeah, but it's also, I think, like what time is it? Their positioning was so good. It was so far back. And also, Garchomp couldn't just walk on top of the Cinderace. He was around the court. The Garchomp had to also just take his merry time to walk around just to start smacking the Cinderace. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like this Umbreon Mean Look strat is going to be working out for Hindrance Resistance. They're already down 2 points. And it's only been 1 minute and 10 seconds.
This is, yeah, I would have to agree. It doesn't look super great right now. I get the concept, but unfortunately, I just haven't seen the concept work out. That Unite doesn't do really anything at all, by the way, from Umbreon, stealing no shields away. And you can see it's already just getting focused down. They realize that Umbreon as well is not really that tanky when you really comes down to it. I mean, when you got 3 level 15 damage dealers on the other side, it's not that tanky. It's not going to have that huge self-sustain even with Wish. So they are pretty happy just targeting it down, which is exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, they can just target it down. They do need to keep the Umbreon alive, though. They really need to have that on the map because they need to have access to that mean look. Going to be using the Wish, healing up. At least the team can catch out the Electrode. Electrode flying towards the enemy Machamp. Now, who is going to catch that Electrode? Nobody! Everyone was fighting up top. That's going to be our first game done and dusted, Chef. What time is noon? Locks in game number 1 with a perfect 3-0 scoreline.
I appreciate the attempt. Obviously, they had an idea going, and it makes sense. You know, on paper, it makes sense. But unfortunately, the things that you give up with the Umbreon just seem to be a little bit too big compared to your gimmick, right? So, yes, you can technically lock down one member of the other team and maybe burn them down with the Garchomp, but that means that 2 people on your team are now all the way on the other side of the map, not helping out with defense. And in that meantime, there are just a bunch of strong Pokemon, muscly Pokemon, just throwing your own defender all the way across the map and making sure that they cannot return the Electrode. So I get the concept. I would almost have liked to see that on the opposite side, where like an Umbreon can be defensive more than offensive, because then at least you can kind of be your own defender. And if somebody's trying to dive, you like somebody on your side, then you're like, nope, you're not doing that. But they just had to commit too much, and it just seemed like it didn't work out.
Yeah, it really didn't work out. They needed the first rush in to work, I feel like. Like, they really needed to go in there, get rid of the Cinderace right off the bat, and then just kind of overwhelm the enemy on their side of the map. I think that's where they could have actually won the round. It's just that positioning, okay, props to the Cinderace. Positioning was always on point, was always out of reach of the Umbreon. And even when he did get caught, it was in a very inconvenient position for the Garchomp, so he wasn't even able to capitalize on that. So is the Garchomp going to stay? I mean, they could still try to make it work. Umbreon's definitely going to have to swap out, though, because it just did not do anything for this team in that first game. But what do? Do they go back to the classic play style? Do they do Blastoise, Buzzwole, Garchomp? Do they maybe swap something out, bring in the Snorlax? Maybe they consider something like Serena. Maybe they can actually have Serena and Garchomp maybe play as tag team in that front line, because Serena can also actually isolate the Cinderace with the Unite move.
Yeah, I mean, that, like I said, that worked really well for the winning team in Japan. They used it a few times. I would love to see Serena. Honestly, I'm also surprised we haven't seen Slowbro. I mean, obviously Surf can be quite good. The mobility, unfortunate for Slowbro, is like really bad, but you can surf people away, and Slow Beam can like, I mean, you can go through, you know, a lot of unstoppable options and just completely shut down the ability to actually block. Big risk. Not saying it's the move for now. I'm just saying, for later. But hello, you're going to see the Tyranitar come out for hindrance resistance.
Tyranitar? Not just Tyranitar. We're seeing Cinderace and Garchomp in the same team as well. So what time is Moon is going to be swapping things as well. They're also bringing Lucario as well. So interesting lineup from What Time is Noon. But I do like the pivot to Tyranitar, because this was a Pokemon that can potentially threaten a Cinderace. But I say potentially because Tyranitar, like I said before, also kind of falls into the same category as the Garchomp. It can also get kited. You really need your team to be able to set up for you. And it might end up having to be that Blastoise if Surf Hydro Pump is the build for this defender. But look at the Garchomp right off the bat, already coming into the back lines, just dishing out so much damage to the Snorlax. And Snorlax like, wait, I'm a defender, where's my health?
Your help is on the other side of the map trying to score some points, and Tyranitar going down so quickly. I mean, how much damage is on this side of What Time is Noon? Look at that. Anything gets close to them and it's just over. A quick score. I mean, you know, we're talking about which one's better throughout the day, Garchomp or Cinderace. Why not both, right? It's like the meme, right? Why not just both and just melt the entire other team no matter what happens?
Just melt the... That's what Cinderace is doing. Just melt everybody. this Pokemon just seems to be unstoppable in this game mode. Like there's just nothing, or at least not enough threats to threaten the Cinderace. And I guess like being level 15, that's also benefiting Cinderace too because he has access to max stats. This is supposed to be an attacker. It hits hard in that late game. And you know, I think we're all kind of used to seeing all-rounders and defenders really dominate the game because they peak a little bit sooner than some of these attackers. But we're seeing the full potential of Cinderace, and if only we could see this kind of Cinderace in regular Unite games.
Well, maybe a little bit weaker than this, because this kind is a little scary. But no, I do absolutely agree. And okay, look at this last score. No, not quite
just
yet.
Gonna
I mean,
finish everyone off.
Yep. I mean, they managed to defend. Oh, actually, that's a kind of a nice KO, return KO. It's going to slow down the offense from what time is doing a little bit more, but they still only need one score to become your champions, your full champions here. They are going to have a full team on the other side. Ooh. They're staying pretty healthy so far.
Oh, that Dragon Rush caught out the entire game, and that's going to be it. Final score. What time is noon? Locks in game number 2, and Chef, we have our first ever North American Pokémon Unite Electrode Volleyball World Tour champion.
What time is noon looked nearly, I want to say undefeatable, but they lost their very first game of the day, which is really funny. Their first, like literal just game. And then they just dominated past that. They looked even stronger in grand finals than they did in any of the other games. And honestly, again, I like the fact that the hindrance resistance was trying different things, but in the end, they just didn't have the mobility. I mean, that last score was a little anticlimactic, if I'm being honest, because they just honestly didn't make it back in time. And that's a problem when you have these 3 kind of slow, waddling Pokemon, which are very strong, but unfortunately just not very mobile. So you get slightly pushed away by all of these different options, and that time it was the Garchomp. Didn't even need to do the damage. So I like the ideas, didn't quite work out, but wow. I mean, our grand champion team, wow, looking so good. They knew exactly what to do the entire day, even when they did switch comps.
So can we say it's maybe confirmed at this point, Chef, Cinderace might be the king of Electrode Volleyball? It's kind of dominated 3 regions so far.
Yeah, but also, again, was it going to be Cinderace? Was it going to be Garchomp? It was both in the end, right? So,
yeah.
But really, I do think, it's Cinderace. It's kind of without a question. Every region that we've watched has been Cinderace, which is really fun to watch. I do like that a lot. But there are a lot of options that you can play around it, as we've seen today. I think maybe some of these teams could have been even a little bit more flexible about what they played around it. But this last match was a great example, going with the Garchomp as well, which is just disgusting.
So just pick both of the overpowered Pokemon and kind of go ham, right? You don't need defenders. Stuns are overrated. We don't need healing. We just need damage. That just seems to be the case. Because, I mean, I think a lot of players also kind of forget that there is healing in Electrode Volleyball, right? Like, you stand where the Electrode lands, and that actually heals everybody that stands under the radius. So, it's not a case of, like, there's no healing. You just have to be very, I guess, tactical, and you have to kind of think ahead in terms of like, okay, there is going to be a healing opportunity, but I have to wait for the Electrode to come to my side of the map. There's actually, I think, a lot to think about that we're probably not really seeing in the caster seat. It's all the players in the game thinking like, okay, when can I fight? When do I need to heal? When do I have to back up? But our champions, what time is noon? Congratulations, 2-0 victory in our grand final. They looked absolutely dominant. I wish we could see more, but unfortunately, this is basically the end of the North American leg of the Pokémon Unite Electrode Volleyball World Tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's so I'm going to keep pointing it out. We can see it one more time here. It's so funny that their only loss was their very first round of the day, the very first game of the very first round, and then they just went absolutely dominant. But I agree. I would love to see more of this game mode. It's really cool being able to kind of try to figure out what the meta is like evolving into. And again, this is certainly not as history of a game mode by any means than, compared to the main mode that we generally see for competitive Pokemon Unite, but I would love to see more side events for this. I mean, now there are a lot of players, especially a lot of competitive players across the entire world that have really put a lot of time and work into this, so congratulations. What time is noon? Noon is 2 hours and 38 minutes ago for me, and certainly everybody on this cast is it's a very different time, so I don't know when noon is for you, but
six and a half hours for noon for me. It's 5:30 in the morning for me.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah, that is definitely a rough answer, but Sushi, Raph, and Kyo, great team, and well deserved with that first place spot.
No, they're absolutely well deserved. They played fantastic. I think they played every composition right. Like, they really, really knew how to play this game mode. They played around their opponents. They played with multiple Pokemon. Yeah, the Dragapult didn't quite work. I think they wanted the Dragapult to work, but unfortunately, I think in this game mode, it's just very hard. You know, like some Pokemon, you want to make them work in theory. Like Umbreon, for example, another Pokemon that you think works, but when it comes to actually executing it in game, it's a completely different story. So yeah, our mainstays for our regular version of Unite, you know, some of them just don't translate well to this game mode. It's just too quick.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just so many different things about it, but it's really cool that we get to see so many other Pokemon that we don't get a chance to normally see. That's why I'd love to see even more of this mode. I mean, hey, we saw Tyranitar, we saw Dragapult, we saw, I mean, Cinderace is showing up in competitive right now, but, you know, we get to see so much Cinderace. We get to see so much, I don't know, there were definitely a lot of others. I mean, Decidueye doing a great job, so just one of those modes that it's fun. You can be like, yeah, I really love that Pokemon, and while I might not get a chance to play it in the main game to the effect that I would like, you know, in the main mode, there's certainly a mode that I can play and have a lot of fun, especially if you like Razor Leaf Decidueye.
Yeah, right. Look, it works. It works not against everything, unfortunately, but Razor Leaf Decidueye does work. So if you do like playing Dercy and you would like to play semi-competitively, consider jumping into Electrode Volleyball. It does work in that mode. But man, Chef, it was a really fun day casting with you. Just being able to see a different region play Electrode Volleyball. Like, we saw different Pokemon, we saw different strategies as well. I like seeing all the different regions, like their approach to this game mode, because you followed Japan. I was there for APAC West, and I can't say like every region is playing a optimized style. Like, every region is just playing it differently. It's a breath of fresh air. So it's like, okay, NA might be done, but we still have LATAM that's having theirs. I think we're also going to be having another Asia region. I don't think, hang on, I have to check here. EU, I don't think they have played their matches either. So there are a few other regions that are still lining up to play theirs. So if you want to see some more Electrode Volleyball, do recommend you check out some of the other regions, which, if I'm not mistaken, isn't LATAM playing tonight?
I think so. It's like very soon. Time zones are very weird, especially between all of us and other regions, but sometime within the next 24 hours, I do believe LATAM is playing. So gonna be excited to see how, I feel like they're going to be really good. They're going to figure out something very aggressive. That's how they play in the normal mode in the championship series. So I'd expect they're going to pull out some cool tricks, and I'm going to watch it for sure.
Yeah, and they also have the knowledge from North America, right? So they have APAC West, they have Japan, they have North America. So they've done their homework, okay? Or at least everyone else has done the homework for them, so they can pick and choose all of the best Pokemon that are going to fit their play styles. But yeah, tune into the LATAM broadcast. It is going to be incredibly fun. But that's going to be it for the North America region, folks. Thank you all so much for joining us for the broadcast. My name is Dana Lee. He is the Wonder Chef Cooks, okay? But normally known as Chef. Just call them Chef. Really awesome guy.
Yeah, Chef is
and
fine.
Hopefully we get to see you guys in some more Electrode Volleyball World Tour in the future. But until next time, Pokemon trainers, we'll see you later. Bye.